Showtime. Boop, 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 boop. Oof. Man, that's going to be a good one. What's happening, guys? It is Friday. It is February 14th, 2/14. What's going on, guys? You better be wearing your Zack Snyder shirts. 2 weeks in a row wearing this shirt. I swear to God, I washed it. Well, last week I just wore it for the Vodka stream, but then I was like, okay, I should probably wear it for this stream too. So naturally, I'm wearing it again. What's happening, guys? I know there's a 10-second delay. So, hey, there we are. People are now responding. What's going on, man in tights? Lachi, James? It's a new one, you know? Cheers. Look at this one. Oh, poured an extra tall one tonight because, yeah, it's gonna be a pretty beefy stream tonight, I think, guys. But anyways, guys, Jacob, what's going on? Mr. Josh? I haven't washed mine. Is it Josh? Is that how you spell Josh? Valle or Valle? But anyways, guys, cheers. Happy 2/14th. Who fucking cares about that Valentine's Day shit? No. Hey, look, and Amanda's there. Everybody wish Amanda happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully you guys send her roses or something. Look at that condensation. Woo! Yes, meaty like the Snyder cut sandwich. That's for damn sure. Yeah, Snyder 2/14. How about that? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, not as big of a day as, of course, back in November. I think a lot of people were hoping it was we could try to get the thing trending and people talking about it more. Sadly, I wasn't on Twitter as much today because I had a lot of stuff to do today. I was just busy. And then I went and saw Sonic. Hey, Mr. Russ, what's going on, Karan? Yes, that's right. Show your love for Amanda, guys. I know Russ loves Amanda. Absolutely. Hey, what's up, Hidden Shadows? If it turns out threw away mail in a toilet for it. What? Really? That's pretty shitty. Nothing happened today. I mean, he did wish. Okay, guys. I mean, he did wish us a happy 2/14 and showed us another image, an awesome image, a colored image of the Flash saving people. So there's that. So we did do something. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of things actually happened today. I mean, HBO Max, Warner Brothers was kind of talking about their stuff. And Snyder was actually supposed to unveil the winner of the poster contest, but he postponed it. Stuff that's a little weird about all that. So there you go. There's Amanda, everybody, looking as beautiful as always. Thoughts on Sonic? Well, if you saw my first reaction review, it's enjoyable. Definitely enjoyable. Jim Carrey, love Jim Carrey. James Marsden, he's so likable. I just wasn't not too fond of the voice casting choice for Sonic. That's all. That was like probably my biggest gripe of the whole thing. Yeah, see, that's the thing is it was just built up. It was really built up. And Snyder threw out a bunch of stuff. He was building it up. And the fact that Godot and Ben Affleck and, everybody was just kind of boom, it's just too big, and as much as today was hoping to be big, it just, it just wasn't in the cards, but it still trended in certain spots. So that's good. And, people are still talking about it, whatever. Do you think the white eyes is ruled out? No, because if Matt Reeves does decide to do a trilogy, which of course I think he is, you never know. You just never know what he has in store. The bat suit that we saw, that's the first bat suit, and it could evolve. Definitely will evolve. It will happen next week. Yeah. And that's going to be interesting to see what he does with that. I just almost think that maybe given that there was some HBO Max news and stuff, that maybe he was told not to do anything today, not to do anything crazy. So he just posted that one picture. because I was hoping, I was like, oh man, is there going to be footage? What's going on? But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about that later, probably. Alejandro, love your name. We'll probably talk about that later when we get more people on this thing. Because I think some people have thoughts on all that. To me, it was just bound to happen. Once you found out who was running that thing, yeah. No, I'm not mad at you. Just relax a little bit on the accusations, okay? That'd be pretty sweet. I'd watch the shit out of that. Yeah, did you notice that? And you almost think that Snyder was like, okay, I won't do anything crazy. I'll work with you if you work with me. Yes, The Dark Knight Rises is awesome. I have gripes about it. It's the weaker one out of the trilogy, but I still dig it. The bat symbol needs the ears and collar. Doesn't look good. I actually dig the collar. I think it's unique. I know there's a certain bat suit he was definitely deriving it from. I think the bat logo will evolve. I think it's actually the bat logo on Pattinson's suit I think it's tactical. It's going to be a tool that he's going to be using. So white armor for the body of the Pattinson suit, but no armor for the head. Well, I guess we'll find out. That's my guess. I think we're going to find out. Like I said, we haven't seen the full bat suit, and yeah, I think it's hopefully I don't doubt that it'll be explained during the movie. So we'll see what happens. We'll be in November. Think so? I mean, it seems like appropriate time. Yeah, and he was outed today. He was outed before that. I think a lot of us knew who was running, who was kind of calling the shots on that account long before. That's why I just went, oh, okay, time to unfollow and not be involved in any of that because no thank you. And when it comes to long ears or short ears, I actually prefer the short ears, but either one, they won't bother me. Yes, exactly. It was Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey from the 90s. It was definitely the Jim Carrey that I grew up loving, who I idolized. So that's what really drew. If somebody else played the villain, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. But Jim Carrey just letting him go buck wild as this, as the villain in this movie, and kind of just bringing that 90s Jim Carrey. It was like bits of Ace Ventura and bits of the Riddler just kind of combined into one, and it was big time. I think the years are going to be long, like the early. Yeah, they probably will. And if you kind of looked, it's going to be back, and they actually might go out. You never know. The ears might do this. They might go out a little bit. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Not a big fan of Matt Reeves, but dang, that teaser trailer with the music. Yeah. What's funny about that teaser trailer movie? I was just talking about it with somebody, and they mentioned like the theme, the Batman theme that was there is essentially Darth Vader's theme minus a couple of notes. If you think about it, dun 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 dun, as opposed to dun 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 dun. I was like, wow, absolutely correct. But hey, it fucking works, man. I mean, the guy did work on Rogue One. No, I did not. I don't watch her stuff. I can't really stand Grace Randolph. And it's funny because I end up defending her to people on Twitter. It's weird, but I really can't stand her. Thoughts on Sonic making $1 million less, yet no cries of it being a flop? I think, well, let's wait on that. Sorry, my eye was itching. I wasn't flipping you guys off. But I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I mean, I know there's going to be that talk, and already people are talking about that. Oh, they're already talking about Birds of Prey being a flop. It's like, yeah, it's like I said, it's a different ball game when it comes to CBMs. And I mean, you could blame the MCU for that. You could blame Marvel for that because they're very much everything is comparable to that. Okay, but when it comes to video games now, because video game adaptations, they don't do well. They really don't do well. So Sonic is not going to be held to the same standard as Birds of Prey. Just simple as that. It's just the way things work. It's dumb because, you still just got to look at the actual numbers, budget, marketing budget, and then the overall box office. But CBMs are held on the highest fucking pedestal, sadly, over anything, every other franchise. You invest in stocks? Oh, yeah, I should invest in Tesla. I have one that I kind of am, I guess, and it's actually up, so that's good. Yeah, it's not a flop. What are your plans for Valentine's Day? My plans are to do a vodka stream. You're seeing my plans right now, okay? But I got a special guest coming in, guys. It's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be a very meaty vodka stream tonight. So Grace doesn't know who Joe Chill is. Yeah, I heard about that. I mean, okay, it's fine. So she's not a big Batman fan. I guess that reveals that. Viking guy is the one who founded the Snyder Cut. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, drinking vodka. Simple as that. Hey, what's up, Savini? Why am I so alone? Don't worry, there's going to be people that are going to be showing up soon. God. My God, guys. It's not that. I'm not that lonely. Not that lonely at all. Bow, bow, wow, 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 wow. It's okay, guys. It's a Hallmark holiday. Hey, what's up, Edgy? Maybe. Bale's Batman looked like a gimp. All right. If you say so. Let's just hope the anime adaptation slowly get more audience. I really want to lead it to an Attack of the Titans, but yeah, I think Attack of the Titans is happening, right? Is it happening on Netflix or something like that? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the Alita 2 fan base took a page out of the Snyder Cut movement and paid for a plane to fly over the Oscars about talking about an Alita sequel. So that was pretty cool. Hi, Belinda. Hey, look at it, guys. We got two females in this thing. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Casual Batman is your version with a lot of vodka. Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is I'm not like shit-faced drunk when I do that. And expect more of him this weekend, obviously, with the kind of Batsuit reveal. Yeah, I think he's got some things to say about it. Pretty sure. Anyways, guys, you're ready for the guest? Ready for the special guest here? Because he has arrived. And here he is, Mr. Sean O'Connell.
Hello, sir.
What is going on, my friend? Welcome to the vodka stream.
Happy 214.
Happy 214. Cheers. Look, hello. Hey, he's got the hoodie on. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Beer. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Happy 214 to everybody.
What an exciting day.
Right. How was your day today?
It was very fun. I had taken time off of my normal work over at Cinema Blend the past couple of days to specifically work on the book that I announced today.
That's right. And that's what we're going to talk about is you announced that you are writing a book about the Snyder Cut movement.
Yes, I am.
Pretty exciting stuff right there.
Well, it had been, I've been cooking it for about a year.
Cooking it? Really? Okay. You've been thinking about it for a bit.
Just to see what the idea would be, what it would turn out to be.
Okay, I want to dive into that, but I also want to get to know you a little bit here because I know you somewhat from Twitter and stuff. Seeing your tweets and everything. I know you work at Cinema Blend, and you've been working there for about since 2011. All right,
that sounds about right. Yeah,
I looked at your bio. I had to research a little bit before you came on, of course.
Gotcha.
But so you've been working on Cinema Blend. How's that going? How's all that doing? Is that full-time gig?
That's a full-time gig. I'm their managing director over there. Started as a freelancer for them. Prior to that, I was at Fandango, and Microsoft had a movie website that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. So I've been in the online field since about 1999 and have sort of jumped around from outlet to outlet until landing at Cinema Blend. And when I was freelancing, I was freelancing for Fandango and Cinema Blend at the same time, and they just seemed like the site that had their act together the most. So I was happy to sort of put all my eggs into that basket when I was able to go full time with them, and it's been a great decision. So
well, yeah, you gotta if you find somewhere. I mean, that's kind of where I am in my real life job. I actually found a place like, wow, this place is actually ran a lot better than the other places I've worked at. And when it comes to the online world, I mean, I've jumped around too. I was part of the Android community when it came to Android phones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when that all started, I got really involved with that. I worked on a website with that, but then it didn't go anywhere, of course. And then it was like, all right, let me just do my own thing, continue to do my own thing. It could be pretty difficult, but you said you started in 1999.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for a bit.
I have. I've watched the industry change a lot over the years. Yeah, and I was in online and print. I was at a print newspaper for 7 years here, and I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And but I always kept a foot in online because it always felt like that was where everything was going to go eventually. Mm-hmm. So I would write movie reviews for a website called filmcritic.com, and I would take the occasional interview when I got a chance to talk to directors and such. And then I got my foot in the door at the junket circuit, which means you were going around doing interviews leading into the opening of films, and that got me in front of a lot of the filmmakers and talent that I've been able to interview over the years.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I remember just I think my first website that I frequently visited was called upcomingmovies.com.
Okay.
I remember that one vividly because they seemed to have, I mean, I think a lot of it was BS when they literally had a calendar of like, oh, this is going to happen. We got Terminator 5 coming out in 2006 and blah blah. They pretend like they had, we got this leaked script for the new term. It was stuff like that, and I think that's what kind of like I kind of saw it evolve in a different sense. I was more, I was more just like, I loved watching trailers. I loved watching, reading leaked scripts and going into chat rooms and stuff like that in the late 90s. So I guess it was destined when finally, I guess in 2011 or 12, I was like, you know what? Let me try this YouTube thing, see what happens.
Right.
And it's not easy to evolve or, to get to a place where you can work in this business. Like I said, I've jumped around and I still have a day job and stuff like that. Hopefully one of these days this can be 100% what I'm doing, but that's pretty awesome stuff. So when you're talking about like press junkets, you go to set visits, and you actually went to the Justice League set. You were there.
I did.
The man himself. I am jealous. I'm holding back the jealousy, I should say. But how was that experience?
So that was a weird experience for this reason. Okay. We got that invitation. It was June of 2016.
Okay.
And so we're a couple months after BVS opening. They're well into production on Justice League.
Yeah. You
knew that the studio needed to change the tide of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because BVS, while being, largely embraced by Zach's fans, this isn't even Ultimate Edition. Hadn't even seen this is theatrical cut.
Yeah, we backed it up
for sure.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until Ultimate Edition came out and we were all like, "Oh, this is the movie.
Yeah,
this is the version that you should."
Well, I mean, there's people that changed their mind. I mean, I still remember when Schnepp, when he did his review right after seeing the movie, he did like a 180 flip. He did not like the theatrical.
Right.
He praised the absolute shit out of the Ultimate Edition.
It's wildly different. Yeah. It fills in a lot of the gaps that you have when you're watching theatrical.
Exactly.
So anyway, long story short, they make these, you go on these set visits, you go really early, and then you have to sit on all of the content that you acquire until the studio tells you can release it. And often it can be a year, if not more, later. I think I can say that I was able to go to James Gunn's Suicide Squad recently.
Wow.
And that doesn't come out till August of 2021, right? So we collected a lot of data. Yeah. And we'll sit on it for a while. But the difference with the Justice League set was They told us we got invited on a Thursday. We were in London on Sunday. We were on the set Monday, and they told us as of that day we could start running our stories immediately.
Really?
Everything that we learned, we could start publishing.
Right. It
and
seemed
that
like it was quick.
well, that has never happened before.
Yeah.
And it's never happened since. That's the
You know,
only time I've gone to a set where they let us run the published stuff right away.
it almost seems like the studio was almost like, hey, this is a little damage control, I
Oh,
guess.
that's 100% what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, the reactions to BVS. So let's get all the set visits. Hey, look what's going on with Justice League. It's going to be something not like BVS.
And that's why I'm going to say this is mildly controversial, because I'm not quite sure how many people will believe this.
Spicy. Let's do it.
But I'm telling you, Zach was on board with this is going to be lighter than Man of Steel and BVS were. Now whether this is where you get into the Jeff Johns influence and the Joss Whedon influence, and I know a lot of people place the blame at the feet of them of changing the tone of the story, but Zach told us himself that was his intention. The way he set it up was very much he needed Batman and Superman to be at odds at each other in BVS for the point of that story. But the point of the story he wanted to tell in Justice League was getting the team together. And he was relying on the personalities that were going to be brought to the team by Ezra, by Ray, by Jason, to lighten the mood that way. Now, I don't think it was going to be nearly as jokey as the theatrical turned out to be.
Yeah. No brunch talk.
No, God, no, Jesus.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
But more of the jokes along the lines of what you saw in what the trailer that is his existing footage. He said maybe, he said no, like that kind of. I think you would have seen a lot more of that example as Zach was going for
maybe
something
temporary
different.
when Batman was like maybe temporary. I mean, that was a Batman joke, and I'm like, that was a good Batman joke to
For sure. Yes, yeah. And so he was working that stuff in, and he and Debbie and Charles Roven spoke to us, and they said, and Debbie said pretty candidly that a lesson they took away from BVS is that fans don't like to see their icons deconstructed. That's a quote that sticks with me to this day, that she said that. And they were taking that knowledge forward with Justice League. Now, we haven't yet seen what it was going to look like. I firmly believe, with having no knowledge whatsoever, that we will someday see that. But I can only tell you what I saw them working on.
Oh, man.
It was crazy.
I'm sure you saw some really good things. I mean, is there anything what was the thing that stuck out the most that you saw on that set?
So the scene we watched them film was on the rooftop with Commissioner Gordon when Batman, Wonder Woman, and Flash show up, and they have the interaction of how many of them are you, not enough kind of thing.
Yeah.
They so we can put a little story context in it behind this. They were talking about the parademons going after some of the top scientists, and they mentioned that there were 5, I want to say, and then Victor comes out from the shadows and he says 6. They just attacked Star Labs and they took my father, kind of thing. So these are events that would have happened in that narrative. And we watched them film that over and over again. And as the actors took breaks, they would come over and spoke to us in their costume. But it's weird.
God, that must be strange. I mean, you got Ben Affleck, this big fucking like brick shithouse of a man just in a bat suit coming over and talking to you guys
with the black makeup still ringed around it. And
so he had the mask off, of course. Yeah.
Took the cowl off, sweaty underneath the cowl, but still decked out in all the suit. But what was interesting,
I do a casual Batman character. I know what that's like. You see my face after, it's pretty
what was so interesting in that component, though, is that he was still very much involved in the pre-production of what we thought was going to be his solo film.
Yes, that's another thing. And I even mentioned it yesterday. Somebody on my Twitter was asking, like, especially since we just got the Robert Pattinson bat suit reveal, which was a pretty cool little camera test that Matt Reeves did. I actually really, awesome stuff. I can't wait to see more of that. Obviously, I'm a diehard Batman fan, but Somebody asked me, and it was like, somebody said, why would Ben Affleck walk away from this? And I'm just going, well, I mean, he's joined for Snyder's vision. Okay. Right. I mean, he said that many times. When Snyder approached him, he even said, aren't I too old for this? And then when Snyder pitched the idea, he went, oh, okay, you're doing a Dark Knight Returns style kind of Batman. I'm down. Let's do this. And then, being with BVS and the fact that there was like a theatrical release that was cut down, that was messed with. And then, of course, the Ultimate came out and people loved it. And then with the Suicide Squad, even being involved with that got messed around with by the studio. And then you have Justice League, and it's just full on all the drama with all that. And then, of course, Zack just basically being ousted, supposedly walking away. I mean, Zack was, as far as I know, Snyder was actually helping him out with that script. They were, I'm sure between stuff like setting up takes, setting up scenes, Snyder and him were probably going over ideas for his Batman movie. So did he talk to you about stuff that was going to be happening besides just like, oh, Deathstroke's going to be in it?
He avoided all details like that. He danced around any of the specifics, talked a lot about still just trying to break the story, talked about what we kind of tried to get into him, because it was something we were all very curious about. How many films can they realistically do with you when they've painted you into this corner of being the older Batman? Like, how can you keep going? And the way that he sold it was, right, but he's kind of been rejuvenated by this dedication he now has to Clark. I was wrong per se to not trust him, not wholeheartedly. He's always going to be skeptical. He's fucking Batman.
Yeah, that's right.
But
nature.
Yeah. But he's found new life in this mission to put the team together, kind of thing. And that's why I do think that that scene at the end about them having the table and the members to be around, like, that was meant to not make Batman younger, but to at least give him a purpose as a member of this team. Now, it's just funny because
future, yeah.
What I find interesting is that they were, as a lot of the stuff was being put together, the studio was still committed to Zack's 5-film arc, right? As I've been putting this book together, I've been asking key people that I've interviewed this question. If BVS had crossed the $1 billion mark, the high water mark of $1 million, would Zack have been left alone? Would they have let him continue? Was it really just the box office that prevented Warner Brothers from believing in his future wholeheartedly? And I don't have the answer, but I do believe that movie not crossing $1 billion hurt their confidence in, because if you think about it, at the time, not that DC and Marvel movies were directly competing with each other, but Marvel was getting movies like Iron Man 3 over $1 billion.
Yeah.
And here is a combination of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman on screen for the first time together in history, and it can't cross $1 billion. Like, to me, on paper, that should cross $1 billion on accident. It should just easily stumble to it. Yeah. So I understand their trepidation, but then, so at the same time, they're weighing, and again, I'm speculating this. They're weighing, we have this 5-film arc. It's a commitment to Zack's vision. But here we just saw Patty Jenkins do a solo Wonder Woman movie. It was successful. Here, James Wan and Jason Momoa went off and did a largely disconnected Aquaman movie,
One Steppenwolf, and that was it. Yeah.
Right. And then they said, okay, now we want to keep Batman going, and I don't know why they're not doing something with Superman. We want to keep Batman going. Do we commit to Ben's path forward, or do we detach it and go younger and let Matt Reeves do what I believe is going to be a trilogy of films?
Yeah, it does make sense. But see, okay, so when it comes to, when people talk about the box office of BVS, obviously you have Batman and Superman, and they're going to be fighting each other. I mean, that's a $1 billion idea right there, and it doesn't make it. And then you inject Wonder Woman in there, and then it's like, okay, this is like a no-brainer. This is going to be the biggest movie ever fucking made.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing that I always go back to when I have this discussion with people, like when it comes to box office and then when it comes to reviews, there's almost like a balance that they look at, because look at Spider-Man 3, for instance. That was a big fucking movie. It was huge.
Yeah.
But people were like, what the hell did I just watch? I saw Peter Parker with emo hair dancing like, what the? And then even with Amazing Spider-Man 2, it still was a box office success, but critically and fanboys didn't really like it as much. They didn't like what they did with Electro in this. Like, and it's almost like the studio is looking at both the reviews and the box office. So I'm wondering if BVS did cross that $1 billion mark, but they saw the reviews and saw people saying they didn't like what Snyder did.
Right.
I like you, I don't have the answer as well, because it's like, would they have still gone forward with it with the bad reviews? I don't know.
It's an alternate reality that we're never going to really see.
Yeah, no, there's a multiverse out there that has that, and I would love to visit it to see if they would have continued his arc. I mean, that's one of the things that, you know, and then even with like recent CBMs that come out, you know, like Birds of Prey just came out. I don't know if you what your thoughts on Birds of Prey was.
I had a lot of fun with Birds of Prey. I enjoyed it. For what it was. I enjoyed
it as well, you know?
Yeah.
But obviously the box office wasn't quite there. And then I see people on Twitter going like, oh, well, it had the same budget as Ford versus Ferrari, but they didn't say that. I'm like, you can't compare CBMs to a one-off biopic. You can't do that. Right. There's a standard that was set by Marvel Studios that is just way up here, that all the other CBMs are just kind of being measured towards. It sucks. I hate it.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm going, that's just how it is, guys. And that's how I look at it.
It's really funny because people don't realize that the history of comic book movie franchises in general, Marvel, you know, people don't want to make the comparison to Marvel, but what Marvel Studios did completely changed the game for the better and for the worse.
Yeah.
Like we went through decades of comic book movies where you got, you know, the Punishers, the Daredevils of the world, you know, back when Affleck was doing Daredevil, and they didn't spin off. They weren't instant franchises, you know. Nick Cage did a couple of Ghost Rider movies, things like that. But it wasn't until Marvel started doing what they did that initially DC thought, oh, we've got these great IPs, you know, why can't we do this? And it's at a lot of different steps. It felt like they were trying to make decisions in the middle of the process, and you can't do that. Like that's part of the reason why I've always been fascinated by the story of the building of the DCEU.
Yeah,
because it's a series of decisions. It's like building a train after the train has left the station.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me, you know, that smart people, I'm going to give them credit for being smart people, allowed this to happen because it affected and continues to affect a lot of movies.
Yeah. I mean, I think when Iron Man came out, I mean, who knew that was going to be like huge? I mean, that's where I give credit to Marvel for doing that, for like, hey, let's try to do an Iron Man movie. Now they didn't go easy and be like, hey, let's do Captain America first, or let's do another Hulk movie again right off the bat. They're like, let's go Iron Man and let's get Robert Downey Jr., you know, who wasn't who he is now, obviously.
No.
You know, he was still trying to get his career back in order. He was working his way into that.
Sure.
And the fact of the matter is they risked that on that, and it was a huge success. And then I think over on Warner Brothers DC side, they're like, hey, we could do that too. Let's do that with Green Lantern. Ryan Reynolds, and it's going to be perfect. But then you hear about the fuckery that happened with that. Like they started shooting without a complete script, and they were constantly changing things, and it shows.
Right.
It shows. And I could totally tell. I remember even thinking way back when, I was like, they were trying to make Green Lantern the DC Iron Man. They were trying to start it off with not one of their big, huge properties, and they were hoping that they were going to set something up, and it didn't work. And then I don't know what led to, well, I guess what led to Man of Steel was basically, you know, Chris Nolan was done with the Dark Knight trilogy. and they wanted him. Hey, can you do the same thing that you did? Because you're successful. You did some good shit with Batman. Can you do that with Superman?
Yep.
And then Chris Nolan was like, no, but I could show you to a guy that can.
Right.
That's what I always tell people when it comes to the man on my shirt right now. It's like, hey, Chris Nolan actually referred Warner Brothers to him.
Right.
And if you watch Man of Steel, I mean, yeah, it very much is. I think if Nolan were to make a Superman movie, there'd be a lot of similar ideas that were in that Nolan would have. I mean, obviously they have vastly different shooting techniques. I mean, I'm nothing against Nolan, but Snyder is just so visual. He just knows how to frame a shot. He knows just how to scope something that is just so absolutely beautiful when it comes to a CBM. We've seen it countless times with 300, with Watchmen, with Man of Steel. Yeah, it's just something about that. I mean, but Nolan knows how to tell a story like no other. So the fact of the matter is like the fact that went into that, and then with Man of Steel getting some sort of backlash, but being a success, they allowed him to do BVS, and then that's when everything just kind of went haywire, which is.
Listen, they still backed his vision for BVS.
They did.
You know, like they were on board with the story he was going to tell.
Yeah.
You know, they only got cold feet. It's almost like being reactionary, you know, instead of being brave enough and bold enough to maintain your vision and keep moving forward with it.
Yeah.
And that's probably what has led us to where we are today. But look at all the split decisions that could have happened along the way that would have produced something completely. Like, what if J.J. Abrams got his Superman script off the ground? You know,
right.
What if? I mean, there's a ton of what ifs.
David Fincher had a Batman year one take.
Aronofsky.
Oh no, it was Aronofsky.
Aronofsky who was going to do year one.
Sorry.
Which would have been intense.
Yes.
It would have been incredible.
Yes.
But you know, and
David Fincher Batman, but yeah.
Maybe they didn't have to, you know, maybe they could have just succeeded as doing one-offs, you know, like the Nolan trilogy that wasn't connected and a Superman trilogy. You know, I can't fault Zach for coming up with the idea of putting Batman in a Superman sequel. You know, that's great.
Well, it just seems like, I mean, I remember even, you know, seeing stuff, even interviews with Snyder saying like, hey, you know, when they were talking about what's going to be in the sequel, who is Superman going to fight? And then they were like, well, what about Batman? You know, I mean, I'm sure the whole room was just like, holy shit. I mean, yeah, it's happened in the books. I mean, that's kind of like a pretty awesome and unique idea to have another hero take on Superman. I mean, it almost seems like that was a no-brainer and they just greenlit it like that.
Now, were you in Hall H when Harry Lennox came out?
No, I wasn't in Hall H, but I saw it, of course. And I mean,
it was
I
incredible.
can still watch that clip now and get goosebumps.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the way that they announced that, and I mean, that room was probably just, it just erupted. It exploded. The roof probably like came off just a little bit. Because I mean, that was a perfect way to introduce that. And I mean, it was a no-brainer.
Well,
him to read that line too.
That's an element of Snyder not being involved anymore that's absolutely missing from the DC EU slate. Like, he's a showman, you know?
It totally is.
And they don't have that anymore. And so to the point where, excuse me, Warner Brothers has stopped going to Hall H. You know, they don't even go with a DC slate anymore. Yeah,
they go down to Brazil, and everybody loves it down there at least.
You know, maybe this year they go back to San Diego with Matt Reeves. I can potentially see him bringing footage.
I think that's what's going to be the case. I mean, obviously yesterday it was big for all that. Everybody was jazzing about it. You know, of course, there's going to be people that don't like it and everything, but let's talk about your book, because I know you have a kind of a hard out. You wanted to only kind of do a half hour or something like that.
I'm here if you don't if you want to need me for it.
Yeah. But when it comes to the book, what made you first off, when did you first really realize that there was a movement out there to try to get the Snyder cut?
A very close friend of mine he has a brother who's really into the movement.
Okay.
And they go to see every comic book film, you know, and he texts me all the time afterwards after they go see everything. Marvel, DC, doesn't matter.
Okay.
And he came around to me and said, my brother won't shut up about the release of Snyder Cut. Like, he's obsessed with release of Snyder Cut. He's got a friend who ends up being a guy who goes by Leonidas on Twitter.
Okay.
And it was a friend of a friend kind of thing who just kept putting it on my radar, sort of thing. And I knew, obviously, from stories that we've written on Cinema Blend, that there were people who were trying to push for the cut and everything. And I always kept it in the back of my mind of just like, this is cute, you know, but there's 1,000 fan-driven movements, you know, who are arguing for, like, the example I use nowadays is the Alita one that seems to be coming up also. Yep. And I think has a long way to go, but you know, it isn't nearly as organized and massive as the release of Snyder Cut movement.
Then you got Josh Trank too with his Fantastic Four movie. I mean,
that's another version, yes, as well too. I mean, look at how weird the release the JJ cut was for Rise of Skywalker. Like, this stuff comes out of nowhere. So I'm trying to think of when I started paying even closer attention to it. But what fascinated me at first, now again, I've always been 100% on board with the bizarreness of the production of Justice League, you know, because, and the way that I envision it, and I've made no bones about the fact that growing up, I have always been a Marvel kid. Like, you'll see over my shoulders here, I've got Endgame and Infinity War. I grew up a Marvel kid, and so I love the MCU, and I go to all the DCU movies, but I didn't have an invested passion in them necessarily. But so the comparison I try to make is, if Infinity War were coming and I found out beforehand that the Russos were leaving it and it was being handed over to another filmmaker, and then I saw the version, a version that would be akin to the theatrical version of Justice League, like, my heart would be ripped out of my chest. You know, I would be so devastated that these characters that I adore were being treated that way. And I would be fascinated as to who made this decision to do this? Like, why would you, you know, desecrate and completely sweep the legs out from underneath what should be a home run hit? Yeah. So I was always fascinated by what happened to that movie, you know, like, to the point where there's an entire chapter in the book, which I finished this chapter recently, that's all about Henry Cavill's mustache. Oh God! Because
I'll do a whole book on that.
I can't comprehend how your first scene in your this is the Justice League movie that people have been waiting for their entire lives, and you look at that effect and you go, good enough. Yeah. Good enough. Let it go.
I'm totally with you on that. I've said that 3 times. Like, who approved that shit? You know? Yeah, like, I mean, okay. And then going back to what you said, you know, if you were, you know, being that you grew up a Marvel fan and Infinity War's coming out, and then you found out, you see the final product and it's just like ripping the heart out of your chest. I mean, being the fact that I was, you know, when it came to BVS, loved BVS, defended it, Man of Steel, all that stuff. And then to hear all the rumors about, you know, obviously Snyder leaving, and you're thinking, okay, yeah, obviously there's a tragedy that happened. It's this, that, and this. And you're just hearing everything, and you almost want to, like, numb yourself and not even think about when people are going like, no, this is not what happened. They're doing this, they're doing that. And I made videos about it. Like, oh no, they're not reshooting. They're not trying to reshoot the whole movie. Are you kidding me? In 6 months? Fuck that. No, that'd be crazy.
Right.
And then to finally, I mean, I literally watched it on the Warner Brothers lot. Okay. I saw advanced screening on a Monday. Okay. I left work early, drove out there, excited as all hell. Right. And I was like, cool, I'm going to see an advanced screening. I'm on the lot. I'm in one of the private screenings. You got Collider guys right there and shit like that. I'm like, holy shit, this is a whole different experience that I've never actually had before.
You know? How'd you get that invite?
I fucking emailed the shit out of I kept emailing because I was like, I'm going to see this movie. I even got invited to the premiere by somebody else. Okay. It was kind of cool, which was, and I mean, I tell you what, it was a very interesting day because, you know, I get there and as soon as I see that opening scene of Superman with the cell phone footage and the way his face looks, I mean, my smile literally gravity just pulls it down, and I'm going, oh shit.
Yeah.
My first thought was the rumors were right. The rumors were right.
Right.
And I remember because there was a guy behind me that I was, chatting with before the movie started. And when we were walking out, I mean, I was walking out like breathless. I just, like you said, my heart was ripped out. And I even turned back to the guy that had sitting behind me. I'm like, they really de-Snydered the shit out of that, didn't they? And he went, yeah, they did. Yeah. And then I had a bunch of people, because I always do first reaction reviews. Yeah. If I see a movie, I'll do like just a quick video. And I'm sitting there. I sat in my car for about 10 minutes going, what am I going to say? Because everybody is like anxiously waiting for my opinion. And I just don't want to be like full on downer mode.
Yeah, sure.
It was a struggle. Like I sat in my car for 10 minutes going, what do I say?
But there's nothing to defend.
There is.
You can't point at things in the theatrical cut and be like, yeah, but this part, like, it's like, no.
And I softened the blow as much as I could. And then I even did a follow-up video when I traveled over to I drove over to where the premiere was. I didn't get into the premiere because I was there. I got there too late, but I got to see everybody walk in.
Right.
And I mean, and it felt bad. When I saw Cavill walk in, I'm like, does this guy realize the picture? I'm like, does this guy realize that the movie starts off with his face fucked up?
Right. He's got to know. He's got to know.
And I'm like, and then as I'm seeing, I see Deborah Snyder. Okay. I don't see Zack Snyder. And immediately I get in a downer mode again. I'm like, God, what the hell happened here?
Right.
And it was pretty much that day when I was going, okay, something is fucked up that happened here.
Well, it's funny. I just the other day watched Cavill speaking with Tiffany Smith, who does a lot of red carpet stuff for DC.
Uh-huh.
And it was outside the premiere. And she said, and at that point, he still was playing the charade of like, am I even in it? Like, I might not be back from the dead.
Yeah.
And then he ends it with, publicity speak that you're reminded of, like, oh, they're still selling it. Like, he's like, come out and see it. You're all going to love it. Like, it's the Justice League you've been waiting for. It's so excited for all of us to be together. And I was like, Henry, you can't believe that. You just can't,
Well, just think about the whole cast too. I mean, I remember there was a nice little screenshot. I forgot. It might have been Comic-Con in Brazil before it came out, or Cinema Con. I don't know. It was one of the cons, but they had the whole cast there. And then there's literally, like, when they asked a question about Snyder, you could almost see like everybody just kind of go, just there was like a screenshot. I mean, literally, I forgot who the question was directed to. It might have been to Miller or Fisher.
Right.
But like there was like, you see Ben Affleck kind of just like go, oh God, I want to say something right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, from what I gathered from the intel that I, from the set, it was he wanted to just fucking walk. When it came to reshoots, he did not want to do them at all.
Right.
He was there for Snyder's vision. They're preparing his movie, and he was probably the most frustrated out. And he could walk. If he wanted to walk, he could. He's Ben Affleck. He's already established.
Sure.
I can understand why none of the others did, because they're not established like he is.
Right.
Okay, Momoa, Godot, they're a little higher than Miller and Fisher.
Ray Fisher hasn't gotten a job since.
No.
God bless him.
Detective, True Detective.
Was he in that? Okay.
Yeah, he was in like True Detective season 3, I believe. I still haven't watched it. Man,
okay.
That I am with that. But
back to the movement for a minute. When I really started paying attention was the San Diego Comic-Con billboards. When they took out those billboards around town, and I saw them around town because I was down there.
Yeah.
And I thought, look at these guys.
You know?
What are they doing? Like, they're really serious about this. And it was the quotes from people. And so then I started thinking, that's when the first grain of oh wow, there's a story here kind of thing. Like, the story of everything that happened with Zack and the and Justice League in general was interesting enough for, I thought, like the first half of a book possibly. But as the movement kept pushing and pushing and pushing, I thought, okay, there's something else here. And I started, and then that's when I was speaking to my friend whose brother is obsessed with it, who knows some people that were in the movement, and they said, oh, you got to talk. But everybody, I'll be honest with you, everybody was super hesitant to speak to me because of the Ben Fritz Wall Street Journal article.
Yes.
I heard that from more people than I could tell you. And don't get me wrong. I mean, that's fine. I totally would understand being skittish if you'd been burned by a journalist before. So all I did was like tentatively just ask questions of people, like, how do you go about doing this? How do you go, what's the point of this kind of thing? And then the New York Times billboard happened. And that's when I was like, oh, this is serious shit. Like, this is great that they're doing this. And it was around that time I learned about the component of the AFSP. And that hit me in a way that I was like, oh, this is something special. This isn't just, it's not just the movie, and it's not just a group of online social warriors, not social warriors, people who are fighting to get a cut of a version that they feel that they're entitled to, like spoiled fans who are like, we want what we didn't get. And it's not that. It's so much more than that. So
that's why you don't hear about the JJ cut anymore. That was just like a thing that ran for like a couple days or a
weekend. Yeah, at best.
After that, and we knew like, oh, like that's not going to last. Nobody's going to care about the JJ cut next weekend. No, nobody's going to do that. And the Snyder cut is still going to be talked about. It's still talked about after 2 years.
Yes. Because like today being such a special day, when you tell a fan base. Oh, and this is the other component. This is the other component that kept me on this beat. The amount of times that Zach has the ability at any given moment to say to the movement, guys, listen, I love what you're doing. I admire your passion. There is no version. I didn't shoot enough of it. I left, or they told me to leave, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I love it. You're great, but I'm doing Army of the Dead now. We've moved on, let it go. And he does the exact opposite. He continues to fan the flame. He continues to support everything that the movement does. Now he's sharing things in color.
I know. All of a sudden, he went from black and white to color. It's like,
right.
What are you trying to tell us here, Zach?
Right. So that aspect too of a filmmaker aiding the movement to the detriment of the studio, because the studio doesn't want him to keep doing that. I guarantee the studio does not want him to keep doing that.
Away with putting like the freaking symbols on this shirt.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like, how did they not get pissed off that this is that? But maybe because all the proceeds are going towards, So
he said it at SnyderCon that he doesn't own it. Like, he's not physically able to release it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's a good question. Like, how he gets away with using these logos.
I can understand. Okay, he could throw out little screenshots and this, that, and this, because technically he is still the director of the movie. His name it says directed by.
Right.
That
what a crime that is.
Yeah, I know. Jesus. The fact that when he released the first shirt that came out, I was even talking with people. I'm like, how is he able to use like literally licensed, trademarked logos from all these properties?
Yeah.
And then with this one, there's added ones. There's Green Lantern. There's freaking Manhunter on this thing.
Yeah,
now.
Manhunter's down here. Yep.
Yeah. The fact that he revealed that, it's like, holy shit. And I get why he can't release footage. I know footage is like stepping over a boundary, but it's like, I almost thought that maybe today, 214, is he going to release some footage?
Right.
Well,
and then the question becomes, like, can I say this? What can I say?
Say whatever.
So we spoke about it at the Army of the Dead set visit.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. You went there too.
I was able to. Okay, so this is how the book starts this way. I'll give you a little preface of how the book starts.
Ooh, a prologue.
Right around the time that I was deciding whether I'm going to commit to. Now, the reason why this is taking so long is because I've had to shop the thing around to publishers.
I get that.
For the better part of a year. And what you do is you put together a lengthy proposal where you spell out almost every step of the book. You have to convince a publisher that you have the entire story, to sell them on it, essentially. So I took the time and I did all that. And I got interest from a publisher that ended up not being the one that I'm going to end up working with. And they wanted to see 3 chapters, you know, and I said, terrific. I'll get them to you like right now, but I didn't have them, but I knew what I wanted them to be, you know? So I took days off from work to dedicate to writing these 3 chapters. And heading up to those days is when the email for the invitation for the Army of the Dead set visit arrived. Like literally the days that I had taken off from work to work on a Zack Snyder book, I got invited to a Zack Snyder set.
Wow.
And if that isn't the universe just saying,
yeah,
you know, hey, stupid, listen, we're trying to tell you something.
Go there. Yeah.
Go there and, you know, maybe talk to him, you know. And here's what I can say. I mean, all this stuff is embargoed, but I think the stuff that's embargoed is about the film. And this is people have been hounding me about like, what did I learn kind of thing. And I can't get into specifics, but what I can say is that I was very prepared to have a conversation with Zach at that set. And again, hear what I had just said to you, you know, like, hey, I'm on to my next movie. You know, I love what they're doing. I admire their passion, but my headspace is here now, you know. And he said the exact opposite. This again was right around the time of the New York Times billboard. It was a day or two after the billboard had happened. And I said to him, I said, you saw the billboard, right? And he was like, it's the most amazing thing, you know. And he said, paraphrasing along the lines of just like, I want them to keep going, you know, like he said, this was the line that stood out to me so much. He said, you know, do I view Justice League as a gaping hole in my filmography? Yes, I do. And I you know, I want to get the chance to fill it basically. and hearing that from him was like, yeah, I need to keep going on this project because
I can't imagine, like, I mean, when he started with Man of Steel and, you know, when everything just kind of evolved from that story and where he wanted to take it. I mean, I can't imagine him just being like, you know what, didn't work out. I walked away. That's it. What's done? I mean, Snyder, he's such a storyteller. He's just a man of his craft, you know. He's all about his fans. I mean, that's why when I went to the Snyder Con event, you know, it was an awesome event to meet him and everything like that. The fact that he actually knew who I was like, holy shit, you know. It's just to meet the man himself and to say good things about him. For him to say good things about me was fantastic, and have a conversation with him. But you can just really tell he's so down to earth. He's a fanboy himself.
Yeah.
You know? When he's doing these movies, he's not just like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it, get it out there, get paid, get your check, on to the next one. He's not that. He's all about the material. He's all about telling his story. He doesn't want to do everything exactly like, oh, okay, the source material is this. Well, maybe I want to change it to that, or maybe I want to do a variation of that. You know, I mean,
well, even jumping back to the Justice League set visit, like, to hear him map out his plan for that movie, like, he was so geeked out about what he could potentially do. You know, like, he was so fired up about the places where he wanted that movie to take the story. And it was great. It was wonderful to hear him. That's why, God, I mean, see, it's just at the time I wasn't paying like rabid attention because I didn't expect theatrical to be so different, you know. But I swear my memory was of the mythology, the history of the mother boxes being the opening of the film.
Yeah.
And that you would see the Amazonian one and you'd see the Atlantean one. And there's a shot in one of the trailers of the humans burying it, essentially. You know, there'd be a third one that would be on Earth, and they told the story of the battle. The same story that gets shoehorned into the middle of theatrical somewhere. That Zax was going to start there. But then I don't remember what it went into after that. But it clearly wasn't Batman on a rooftop, you know, luring parademons with a frightened thief.
Yeah, I know. Doing that whatever noise that he had. Yeah.
That was the first line of dialogue when I got the goosebump chills of just like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
It was when the guy from Mindhunter, whose name escapes me right now,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
says, they know he's gone, don't they? It's because Superman's not here or some such. And I was like, oh, you're giving, lines of chunks of narrative to the thief that Batman just captured.
It was also pretty bad that Batman communicating with Alfred literally said Alfred in front of that guy. What the fuck? You know, Batman doesn't just say Alfred right in front of somebody. You know?
Right.
Like, really? You gotta, yeah.
So clumsy.
Even though, it was very clumsy. I mean, I'll give credit to, seeing Batman perched on the gargoyle. That was kind of cool shot. But yeah, when you rewatch the scene, it's like, oh man, what was happening here? And it was funny too, because I think a lot of people actually thought it was a Snyder scene at first. But yeah, when you watch it, you're like, no, this was. I think it's very easy to pinpoint when Affleck's scenes were reshot, because it seems like the cowl doesn't fit as well.
No,
when it's Snyder shots, the cowl is like perfectly just it's almost like it's grafted onto his head.
Right. Well, the shot where he shaves when he's with Alfred, and they talk about the wind up exploding penguins, which Zach has now confirmed is not one of his lines. Like,
yeah, I think we kind of got that. Yeah.
Ben looks so bloated in that scene. He just looks like he'd come back years later. You know?
Oh God! I mean, that must it just. The fact that, and like I said, when I was at that premiere, seeing them walk in, I'm like, do they know? Do they know what's going on? Like what they're about to watch?
I mean, too often they do, and they still got to sell it. They
part of the gig. It's part of the gig. That's in the contract. That must be really difficult to. I mean, and to me, maybe they go to the bathroom and don't return for like 45 minutes. They know, like, oh yeah, this is coming up. I'm just gonna not watch it.
Right.
But it's just So when it comes to your book, when do you expect it to come out?
So a book, I'm learning, because it's the first time I've ever done this. Takes a long time. There's a production cycle, and there's dates that you have to hit in order to get onto Amazon's calendar and in order to get into. So I was told if I could rush it, I could potentially get it out the end of this year.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to be able to rush it. So my manuscript is due around June, and that means I'd come out early next year. And the issue with it is that I don't know the ending, like the book can go a lot of different ways. So these are some of the decisions that I had to make, because I've reached out to Zach and his people several times to try to get him to talk. And I understand why he might not want to. And I would even love to get him to talk for the book and not even get into the production, if he's not able to. And just get his opinion on the movement, get him to speak freely about the fan base. I would like to try to speak to him about the entire process. I just don't know what he's able to get into necessarily. So I need the book to work if he decides to never weigh in. I still need the book to be valuable.
Okay. So
without his input.
It's almost like you have to have two different versions. You want to have a version where he has the input, and then there's a version that you might have to turn in, that you're most likely going to have to turn in without his input.
Yeah, because my wife, I was explaining the book to my wife, who's a very casual movie fan. Like she's a great respite from me being immersed in this stuff on a day-to-day basis. And she put it in the perspective of, as I was explaining to her about Justice League and why Zach had to leave, and Whedon coming in and butchering it, and trying to make it an Avengers movie and failing, and then all of the people who were fighting really hard behind the scenes to get this new version released. And she said, but why are they doing that? Why is it so important to them? And I was like, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know why it's so important to them. And so along that process, I started asking each of them, why are you doing this? Why are you getting these billboards in San Diego? How come you're volunteering your time at New York Comic Con? How come you went through the whole process to find out how to get a billboard in Times Square, and put all of this together? Why are you putting together these organized campaigns? And I started getting all of these amazing stories from people about, how these movies have touched them, why these movies are so important to them, and why they have found new purpose in the friendships and the bonds that they're forming through the movement. And I thought right then and there, that's the book. That's talking about the stories about the people who are in, to almost educate the ignorant people who see the hashtag and think, oh, these fucking guys again, that it's so much more, so if I'm able to only tell the story of the people in the movement, that's a success. That book's a success to me. Now, if I am able to get that, and the problem, and I'm getting asked by a lot of people, like, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? I don't think I can get the, I'm trying to think of good examples. The Fabian Wagners, the Chris Terrios.
Yeah.
If Zach doesn't agree, they're all so fiercely loyal to him, as well they should be, that if he doesn't chime in, they likely won't, and I won't get their insight into the process. So you're right. I'm approaching it as two different projects for as long as I can, knowing that if Zach should ever decide that he does want to weigh in, it'd be very easy for me to pivot and, fill in all the gaps provided by him.
Well, I mean, I live about an hour and 16 minutes from Pasadena, and I know he frequents a coffee shop. Maybe if I just keep on, just perch myself at that coffee shop, I'd be like, hey man, sit down, let's talk a little bit.
Right.
Info for the book. Maybe he'll tell me some shit. I don't know. I've talked to the man even in DMs on Vera before. And he's very, when it comes to all that, he's very he's vague. He doesn't, he's very careful. As much as, he puts stuff out there, whether it be storyboards, whether it be, shots from the movie, he is very careful. Very careful, I've noticed. Right. And that's what, when I see people, and I get it, diehard fans, they want more. Oh, I wanted this, or I want that. And I'm like, guys, it's not. I'm sure you've seen that too, researching when it comes to fans. Obviously, when you have diehard fans, sometimes they expect maybe more than what they're given. Yeah. And then they could throw a little upset at it. I've seen it. It's gotten thrown at me because, there's been times where I've been, in the crossfire of like, whoa, guys. I remember there was everybody thinking he was going to show up at a Comic-Con, I think 2 years ago. And from somebody who contacted me who was in his camp said, no, that's not going to happen. And I went, whoa, guys, it's not happening.
Right.
And people were like, no, you're lying and this, that, and this. And then he didn't show up. And I'm like, guys, see, I just didn't want to get your hopes up. You gotta bring it back a little bit, because even today, people ask me last week, oh, what do you think, what's going to happen on 214? Is Zach, is he going to show some footage, a trailer? What's going to happen? And I'm like, I'm hoping, but don't get your hopes up. You never know what could happen. He dropped an image and said, happy 214. And that's all he did. And but there's probably a reason why that was the case. Maybe, things are happening behind the scenes, because like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, HBO Max was talking about things today too. Maybe if he's working with them with that, they were like, hey, don't go overboard with your stuff today, because if you want to work with us, because I know for a fact, that things are happening behind the scenes, whether it's, it's going to happen, when HBO Max is released in May. No, probably not. He still is working on a whole other movie.
Sure.
People got to take that in consideration too, that he's not dedicated 100% to the Snyder Cut. But the fact of the matter is, he does have a cut from start to finish, 214 minutes. It's sitting there waiting.
Right.
The fact of the matter is where is it going to get released? Right. HBO Max is probably the best case scenario, because obviously Warner Brothers, we're in a streaming war right now.
Right.
Big time. Everybody, and I knew this was going to happen. I was a cable guy for 7 years. I started in 2005 when I did cable. And I remember just seeing that industry evolve. And towards the end of my time there, I even told coworkers and customers, I'm like, you know what? You're not even going to have a cable box anymore. As soon as it's all going to be streaming, it's all going to be internet. You're going to have one centralized internet network in your home. And then that's all it's going to be. I don't even have a cable box. I have YouTube TV. I just have a modem, and that's it. Wireless modem. and that's it. And now all these companies are going to streaming, and we're in a streaming war right now. And then you have to have original content on there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm telling people. I'm like, imagine just having the Snyder Cut being released on there. I mean, even if like Snyder himself wanted to be like, hey, well, if we wanted to even get more people involved and have the subscriptions last longer, what if we like divided it up? Because we all know that it's 3.5 hours long, but there was a cut, he even said, assembly cut, that was longer than that, over 4 hours. What if they took a lot of that and divided it up into a mini series?
Right.
I even asked that question on my Twitter, like, what if Snyder wanted that? Would you guys be okay with that? A lot of people said, no, I want the 214. But I'm like, but what if Snyder wanted a long mini series that lasted for 6 weeks or something like that?
Right.
I don't know how you'd feel about that.
Man, I don't know. You know, so much of it is pacing, and so much of it is done in the edit. That if he's got an edit he's happy with at 214, you know, that assembly cut is what it is. You know, that is it's an assembly cut for the most part. I'm holding out for the 214, truthfully. Like if that's what he thinks his version is, that's what I'm holding out for.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if Warner Brothers was going to give him, you know, the time to do maybe some more shooting that he didn't get to or something like that, you know, because we know that he said that he didn't get to shoot the Harry Lennox portion of the Martian Manhunter, and maybe other things that he didn't get to shoot are like, hey, even if, I don't know, it so happens that the actors were okay with coming back to help him finish his vision, or even if they were to like, hey, we're going to have you continue the Justice League movie, we're going to have a mini series for this, and then we're going to allow you to shoot more because, hey, guess what? We established this multiverse thing. We put Ezra Miller in CW. We can do whatever we want now.
Right.
So I don't know. There's so much that can happen. And I just kind of when people ask me like, oh, I'm losing hope, I haven't heard anything, I just kind of tell them like, don't lose hope. That's the one thing I always tell people on my podcast, on here, just don't lose hope. It's still very much going to happen. You just got to be patient.
Well, I'm trying to think of an example. But I just know that like stranger things have happened, you know, in the film industry, where things where you said like, there's no way on earth this will ever happen. And then it happens, you know?
Well, it took how long for the Donner cut to come out? You know,
right? Exactly.
You know,
now it'll break this movement if they have to wait 20-something years.
Oh, yeah, but I think the matter with information and everything that moves so quickly, it's not going to take that long. I mean, we're already 2 years into this thing. I don't see it lasting longer than 5.
Who was telling us something about that though? I had a conversation about the Donner cut, and the reason why it was different is because back then you shot so much stuff in camera.
Yeah.
So that footage was almost ready to be worked on, you know. But I also believe that Zach shot more than people believe, you know. So
well, I mean, Momoa even said that they shot like basically 2 movies.
Yeah.
I always talk about that when people ask like, oh, is there enough, you know, how much footage did Snyder shoot? I'm like, well, Momoa said they shot enough for 2 movies, you know?
Right.
You know, and from what I was told from, you know, the source that I had was, like, I guess it kept going back and forth of like, how many Justice Leagues were there going to be? Was there going to be 3? Was there going to be 2? Are they going to condense it to 1? I guess apparently it kept going back and forth. And I guess they finally settled it to it was going to be 2, but that it was always open for a part 3. And it's just like, obviously, well, when we talk about the Superman story arc, it was supposed to be like 5 parts. That was initially what it was going to be. But I mean, when it comes to Snyder, his movies ain't short. You're not going to get an hour and 22-minute Snyder movie, no matter what the fuck it is. Army of the Dead is going to be like probably 2.5 hours for all we know, 2:45. I hope. Because
Netflix lets you do what you want.
Exactly. I mean, shit. Look at The Irishman. I mean,
right.
You know,
I don't know. I just find myself in this great sort of limbo. Like I'm looking at it from a positive standpoint, right? Yeah. Like I remember how excited I was for the arrival of this movie.
Yeah.
I just remember distinctly seeing the first time that he shared that footage of Arthur Curry swimming underneath the water, you know, coming up to the throne and everybody at that point was super curious, like, how are you going to handle the underwater scenes? Like we hadn't yet seen how it played out yet. And so now I still feel that I'm back in that limbo of being excited to see the movie. It just never came out. We just haven't seen it yet. And we don't have a release date necessarily, but we know that it's there and it's coming and it's being worked on even. And someday we're going to be able to see it. I think someday soon.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like the BVS Ultimate cut. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be more. It's gonna be more drastic than the BVS Ultimate cut because the BVS Ultimate cut was just an extra half hour. We got more Lois. We understood more what Lex Luthor was doing, and we got just those added scenes. Really, just added to the whole story of like, oh, okay, we could see what Luthor was doing with the manipulation and this, that, and this. And Lois played a bigger part when it comes to this movie. I mean, it's going to be an entirely different movie.
Yes. And that's why I believe in the power of an alternate Snyder cut.
Yeah.
When I saw how different Ultimate Edition ended up being from the theatrical, which I didn't necessarily mind theatrical, but that was such a more powerful and filled in movie that I can't imagine how much better his official take on Justice League is going to be.
Oh yeah, and people are. There's still going to be people that are going to shit on it, but there are going to be people that are going to be like, "Oh my god, this was so much better. What were they thinking? This and this." And at the same time, I go, "Wow, Warner Brothers is also taking that in consideration because it's going to make them look like a bunch of fucking goofballs for doing what they do." And I get it. Studio ego is going to be a thing as well.
I understand that, but money is money, and they're leaving money on the table.
And like I said, HBO Max. How do you drive some more people on there? Hey, we got this alternate Justice League thing going on.
Right.
Subscribe, go watch it, and this, that, and this.
Yes.
It's pretty interesting stuff. All right, Mr. Sean O'Connell, I've had you for an hour.
Dave, thank you.
Longer than we expected, which is great.
I hope it was interesting.
Yeah, really. Like I said, any questions you have that I can provide to you, of course, I will answer them for you for the book or anything like that.
Awesome.
I'm sure we all appreciate what you're doing. You're doing the Lord's work by, bringing more attention to the movement, positive, because obviously there's going to be negatives, and we know that that's going to happen. Fan dedication. Sometimes it does happen and everything. And but I appreciate you coming on, and go ahead and promote yourself right now.
Yeah, no, all I want to say today is, and I got a text message from a friend of mine too, who's in the industry, and he said, "I can't believe how positive the reaction has been to your announcement today."
Yeah.
Because we know that Twitter can be a really ugly place.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that the Snyder Cut movement can be very defensive, that they don't necessarily, with good reason, trust people who might be viewed as an outsider necessarily. I like to think that I've done enough over the course of time to convince everybody that I'm on your side, that my goal is to tell your story. That I think it's a really interesting story to tell, that I need everyone's input to tell it the right way. But my goal is to get the right story out there to people. And I was really moved today, by the response to the announcement of the book. And that meant the world to me. Like, I think I got literally one person who responded of just like, "What are you trying to do? Like, this story it's not even worth telling." And over 1,000 people who were like, "Can't wait. When can we pre-order? Thank you for doing this." And so what I'm going to say after making the announcement today is that I'm going to hunker down, now and get it right. I'm going to sit down and get the story and the book to the best shape that it can possibly be, so that everyone in the movement can hold on to it and say, this is a symbol of what we did over the past 2 to 3 years, and hopefully make you all proud.
That's awesome stuff. And I get it too, because, when you just come, even when I saw you pop up, I'm like, who's this guy? That's just the way it's been. We're all like cats, and we kind of get back and our back curls up and the hair starts standing up. Like, who is this? It's when you get a fan of these movies, and especially Snyder, and, he's always been that pariah of like, oh, it's Zack Snyder, it's that type of movie, and all these people shit on him. You're always constantly defending. When you have somebody that just kind of comes in and like, oh, he works for Cinema Blend, he's one of those evil bloggers, watch out. I'm sure you've got that a lot when you first started out. But
sure.
But I think you've been pretty much welcomed into this movement, and everything's been a-okay, and we're all really looking forward to the book. So
Awesome,
appreciate what you're doing. I'm glad that you came on. Which
thanks, Dave.
again for sure.
All right, brother. Anytime. You let me know.
Go ahead and promote yourself. Follow him on Twitter. What's your Twitter and all?
I'm at Sean_O'Connell. Obviously, you can follow me on a daily basis on Cinema Blend. I'm on the Cinema Blend YouTube page where I'm making videos. I made one today about the Snyder Cut. I do reactions to different shows. I have a podcast. It's called Real Blend with two other guys, Kevin McCarthy and Jake Hamilton, and we do that weekly. A lot of really fun director interviews. I would love Zach to come on that and just talk filmmaking with us. We don't have to talk about the Snyder Cut at all. Just talk about your films. So yeah, I'm all over the place. Just throw me into Google and
there you go, guys. Follow Mr. I said Mr. The clock is kicking in already. Mr. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave. Take it easy, my friend.
See ya. All right, guys. There was Mr. Sean O'Connell. Good conversation. Good guy. You know, sometimes you wonder, like, oh, what's the guy's gonna be like? You know, and turns out that it was gonna be. He's a good guy. He's writing a book. It's all good. Love it. What'd you guys think? Here's a plain speak understanding. Hey, Dave. Yes, here's the plain speaking and understanding. I'm glad he actually stayed on for like a whole hour as opposed to a half hour. Good stuff. See, this is what I kind of wanted to do with this Vodka stream is when I have people on, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's just talk about shit, you know? Let's not like debate. Like I know I've had debates on here before, but I'm all about just like people that want to just talk about certain things and, you know, just have a good conversation. That's all I want, you know? I'm not all about like, hey, let's all just like shit on everybody and like, oh, who the fuck is this guy, you know? It's all good. You want to talk Sonic now? You just realized Sean looks like a younger John Kemp. Shit, that's fucked up. Come on. It was very pleasant to listen to. Yeah, good. Yeah, it was good stuff, man. You know, he hit me up to talk about the book, and you know, I said, "Hey, if you want to come on the Vodka stream, let's do it." And he, you know, today was a perfect time to do it on 214. So, really glad the guy came on because you know I've only seen his tweets. I hadn't really checked out you know podcasts or anything that he's been on. So it was good to actually. I think I avoided that because I eventually knew I wanted to get him on this to just full on talk to the guy. You know what? And I like the guy. I like the fact that he was a Marvel fan growing up and then just realizing what's going on with this stuff. But, you know, we'll see what happens with the book. You know, when he specifically when he talked about the Ben Fritz thing and how people were, what are you? Another blogger that's going to write some shit about the Snyder Cut movie? Yeah, I can totally get that, you know. And let's hope. Sonic. Well, you saw my first reaction review, right? Hey, if I can get Joss Whedon on here, I would. Hey, cheers to India. Woo! Wouldn't that be something? All right. Man. We're already an hour and 22 minutes in this thing, and, you know, we're just getting fucking started here, bro. We're just getting started. All right. Well, all right. Sending out some other stuff here. Boop. Okay. Just, let's see here. Sending out the invites, guys. Obviously, today was going to be like, hey, let's have a panel almost. Oh, don't do that one. Okay. All right. Yes. Yeah. I think I talked about Sonic a little bit enough. Well, just relax. Maybe Mr. Colbert will show up soon, okay? Oh, my God. There he is. Jeez. Look at somebody was just asking for you.
What's up? It's like magic.
Exactly.
You say my name 3 times in the mirror.
Exactly. Hey, fucking Beetlejuice over here. Jesus. All right. What's up, Steven? Did you watch any of the interview with O'Connell?
Yeah, I caught the last, like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, good guy. I mean, I know you've met him in actual person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I mean, I wasn't gonna grill the guy and be like, "What's your what do you like a dad? Like, what's your intentions with my daughter?" I wasn't gonna do that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wanted
Oh,
to.
I'm sure that would have been a totally reasonable
Yeah,
reaction from that.
I'm not that kind of guy. I'm all about just like, hey, let's have a discussion and see what's going on. And I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like he's he's a good guy.
Yeah,
He's level headed, and we'll see what happens with
he's
that's
nice. Well, and I don't know. I mean, I come from a very different angle than a lot of people, but I mean that's something that has been encouraging to see. I know everyone's always suspicious when someone new kind of comes around, but there's a reason why, like, since the beginning, I was always saying it's really important for people to befriend journalists, or you don't have to, like, befriend them, like sneak into their like life so that you can then be like, now start writing about the Snyder Cut. But there's such a before Justice League even happened, like before BVS happened, I know a lot of people are new to like the Snyder Cut movement, but there's a long standing history between bloggers and like Nolan fans before that, even like obviously people were way more positive about his movie, but like the three people that weren't got like
well,
attacked.
that's why I said at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I can understand why, like, oh, it's another evil blogger. Look,
Yeah.
he's coming in, he's asking me questions. Who's this guy?
And so it'd just be really nice to be able to kind of break that stigma. I know I've met plenty of people since the beginning who have ended up being like, oh yeah, you're not like one of them. It's like, well, yeah, because maybe it's because I started writing like as I was like in the DC Twitter fandom, and when Man of Steel came out and stuff, before I like started doing it professionally. But anyway, yeah. So without breaking that stigma, like that's why you get all these articles and snarky tweets all the time where people are like speak down on you, and it's not because of it's got stuff to do with Snyder and all sorts of other stuff, but it's not because they are just like pure haters. They have a long standing history of like, I don't know, it's like generationally it's weird, because I know not a lot of people in like the DC fandom or Snyder fandom on Twitter now are like the same people that trolled Chris Nolan haters, but it's like a lineage, or it's at least feels the same to bloggers. And so
They're just jealous of your beard. That's all it is. That's what it is, man. Up, we got somebody else.
Oh, hey.
Hey, what's up, guys? Nice playoff beard, Steven.
Yeah. I think it's gotten bigger. Is it now?
Yeah, no, I am in like bad need of a haircut, and I always reach a point with my hair where it's like, you know what? It'll look more intentional if the beard is also super shaggy. Like if I keep my beard neat and my hair is a mess, then so basically I'm on like 4 weeks of having needed a haircut and haven't gotten one. So
I kind of feel like I should change my shirt though. Kind of feels a little healthy in here right now.
What are we talking about? Are we all wearing the same shirt? What's going on? Jesus. It's almost like today's something special. What's going on? What's the date? Valentine's Day? I love you guys.
I celebrated January 26th. I don't know what you guys are all.
What's this 214 shit? What the hell are you talking about? Yeah. I thought the date was 3/34. Is that shit? It's not. Damn it. So what's going on, Justin? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I was interested to hear everything Sean had to say.
Yeah,
and the thing, and you know what I'm going to hate because I always hit it, but I think the thing that really needs to make any narrative complete about this is about the ideas that are in Zack Snyder's movies in general, because you can say all you want about the backstage politics and everything, but the reviews of his movies before even Man of Steel was released primed the pump for all of this. You can see it starting with Watchmen and with Sucker Punch and going forward. And all of that was already in the cultural zeitgeist in regards to Snyder. I mean, look at AV Club. I just retweeted them earlier today. They're still on about it.
Nobody wants a sandwich. Yeah.
Well, it's like there's been plenty of directors that have made low budget, mediocre action movies that like nobody cares about. Like people like the Kings of Egypt, Gods of Egypt. Like, for example, like that's one of those movies that would have been like the sucker punch, right? But like nobody cares. Nobody who I don't remember who made it. People don't talk about the movie anymore. But Snyder makes a couple of those, and it's like people are still taking pot shots at it.
Right.
Yeah, especially since Birds of Prey came out, they're like, didn't Snyder make something like that? I was like, what the fuck? You're really gonna go back to that? Like, Snyder made like a girl movie that bombed or something like that. I don't know. It's dumb. It's dumb. Oh, we got another guest.
Oh no!
Hey, Mr.
Hey!
Every time somebody gets
right
on,
there.
Hey,
Let me
why
move
you guys
that.
got a copy of the fucking shirt I'm wearing? Jeez. Bunch of followers, jeez. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. I have 3 sets of that shirt, by the way, so that way I can switch it out every night and wash them as I.
Like Steve Jobs, how Steve Jobs wore exclusively jeans and gray turtlenecks.
Yeah.
So you open your closet and it's just Snyder cut shirts.
Snyder cut shirts.
Like you're the Steve Jobs of the Snyder cut.
Yeah, it's too hot to wear the hoodie in here, but
it's like the most comfortable hoodie I've ever owned. It's pretty awesome.
It
All
is.
you guys are in states where you can't wear
all
hoodies.
the material. Yeah.
Yeah, here I am in the middle of the country.
Cold climate. Somebody guess who's in the cold climate.
Oh, I will let you guys. Let's see how long it takes you guys to guess how cold it was today.
Oh Jesus!
30, 20,
11.
Keep going down.
Well, negative 10.
Negatives.
Yes, negative.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow, that's winter.
It was
It's
bad.
54 degrees where I'm at right now.
But see, that hoodie is too light for your climate.
Well, you got to layer. You wear the hoodie, and then because when you go inside, you don't want to then be like in a short sleeve.
He's wearing 3
it's gonna be
Snyder cut shirts underneath it. That's what.
Actually, I was wearing my my Snyder Con shirt under this before.
Snyder Con shirt, the other shirt that he had that he released, he's got it all underneath all that.
Yeah.
Mr.
And then I've got a Justice cut.
Oh shit!
On the very bottom.
He's wearing that as underwear. He's wearing that as underwear and farting into it.
Did anybody get the beanie yet?
Yeah, I know.
Mine's on the way. I was hoping I'd have it today. I kind of want to go check my mailbox again.
It's
not here right now.
I didn't get it yet.
Somebody said looking like the Snyder cut NWO heel pack. It's hilarious.
Was that?
The end. But Swenson, did you?
I can't even see the comments.
Did you catch any of the Sean O'Connell interview?
Actually, yeah, I was listening to it, and I was like, I'm just gonna listen to it because it's very interesting stuff.
Yeah, no, we're because I got these guys' thoughts. What are your thoughts?
It was good. I mean, I can't wait for the book. I may or may not have been part of that too.
No.
But so I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. And I kind of got some of that because when I got to know him and talk to him, I think people have messaged me, says, don't trust this guy. He's a blogger. I got some of that. And I'm like, I'm pretty open to people right now. But I'm just going to take the benefit of the doubt and let's hear him out. And
I said, when it came to all that, everybody turned into what cats turn into. They curl their back and their hair stands up. It's like, who's this guy? Specifically after that Ben Fritz article. And I think a lot of us were like, whoa, watch this guy. You might want to watch this guy because you just never know. Specifically when they kind of come out of nowhere, I think that's pretty much why.
There was something really cool at the end that I want to make sure people noticed. Was he announced his book today, and he mentioned at the end how he wasn't sure what the response would be, but he just wave of positive, supportive comments. And we know that, like there was a dude just recently who was like, I'm going to make a documentary. And it was just like everyone went at him. They were like, how dare you? You're just in this for profit. We don't know who you are. They searched his Twitter feed to be like, oh, you said something bad about like Lex Luthor when BVS came out, or I don't know, like just that kind of stuff. So like this group of fans on Twitter don't like accept people coming in like that aren't like one of us. Like they don't have it like tattooed on their bicep. Justin,
I guess
Justin's not even allowed in, and he's got the tattoo, and he gets blocked by RT.
I know you get blocked by everybody, and you literally have a tattoo of Stone Quarry on you.
But he but so what he said though that was really interesting. I want to make sure people notice is that he got a comment from an industry friend, aka another blogger, who noticed, whoa, this is a Snyder Cut tweet from someone who writes for a major movie site.
Mm-hmm.
And he's announcing a documentary or a book or whatever, like so many other people have before, but instead of piling on him, like us as a community are very familiar with, instead there's like wave of positive comments on there. And he said it is just one person, so who knows? But like that's these people that work in places like Sean don't have experiences like that very commonly. He took the time to ingratiate himself to fandom. He's made the rounds on the shows, and you know he's been on Chris's show. I know he was on a few other podcasts from people that don't like us, and then now he's on Dave's show, and people know who he is now, and they know that he's like a fan, even if he's just faking it to make the book. It's still evidence that there are people that are watching the fans' interactions with him and being like, wait, why are they treating him that way when like anytime I mention Snyder, it's just like screenshot, how dare you, like you're just a hater. And I think that's a very important thing for people to remember, is that he could have easily been another one of those documentary makers who was like, I don't know how he did it and other people didn't. Maybe he waited longer to announce his book, but he very easily could have been another person that's like, screw you guys, I tried. Like,
I'm trying to remember this. So I think that some of those documentary makers were asking for money up front. Maybe is that something that's different? Yeah. So he's like he's investing in his own. Of course, he's probably going to make money off it, but he also put it out really quickly that proceeds, a lot of it will go to American Foundation. So
yeah,
that's also
exactly. But I mean, he's played his cards right, and I think a lot of people can learn from him. But also make sure, like a lot of people that are in his position can learn from him. But also, I think the fans can learn a lot from the experience. Also, that you don't have to have an antagonistic relationship. You don't have to, you might not agree, but maybe if they didn't, if people like Sean don't expect you to be assholes, they're not going to treat you like they expect you to be assholes.
True.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I agree.
Anyway,
I can go on for 5 more minutes on that topic. I'll stop now.
Good stuff. No, I totally understand what you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about just walking into like the lion's den sometimes, like when it's something about this movement. I'm going to start asking people about this after that Ben Fritz article came out. I mean, talk about just everybody has their spears like hold up in their shields, just like, hey, who the fuck?
The ringer was the next big one. And I remember people were not.
Yeah, the ringer, right.
They were very, very, there was people were fighting over whether or not the interview should even happen. Chris is always willing to put on a brave face and talk to someone. So it was good that we had, him and a few others.
And apparently, Chris, somebody said you look like Gotham's Hugo Strange right now. Just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that guy from
that you're Asian.
And that guy from Dexter, that was one that I've never watched Dexter, but people have sent me the pictures of that serial killer or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I do kind of look like it.
Oh my God. No, but somebody was like, what is Ping Pong Flicks look like the Doctor Strange from Gotham? I'm like, good God. That's funny.
Thanks for choosing DC for me.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. And like your House MD ball that you had there that you were trying to promote. Wow, random. How did you get that?
Awesome.
Where'd you get that?
Just go to Amazon.
Okay. Amazon, and you just ordered a ball that had House MD.
Well, in the show, he would always like bounce it around.
Oh, yeah. He gets him thinking.
I'm gonna when I teach because I'm teaching
about
I'm gonna bounce it around.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You're a teacher now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're gonna bounce a ball and just kind of be like that cool teacher.
Instead of drinking, he's gonna bounce. He's the healthiest one of all.
I know if I was a teacher, I'd be like,
Probably the smartest one of all of us, right?
Honestly, I'm standing against a white background, so visually, I didn't want to just have like me standing here with a white background. So
makes sense.
Did you have any other objects that you were like, okay, is this better to be my distraction object? Or I want the house ball. Like camera pans out, there's a whole table of
He's got a Doctor Who.
there you go.
Look at him go.
I got random stuff. I just moved in. I mean, like,
Look at that. Oh, that's right. You got cats, huh?
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a cat.
Yeah, that's right. When did you move to Florida? Like a week ago?
It's been a little over 2 weeks since I've been in Florida.
That's right.
I got the hell out of California because the liberals and the
those whores and those politicians.
yeah, and the smooth talkers and the intellectuals.
Jesus.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Sometimes I'm like, what? I mean, especially when I'm like leaving work after working like 10-hour days, leaving at 5 o'clock and trying to. I literally live 29 miles from my work. It took me an hour and a half to get home yesterday. Hour and a half. Jesus fuck. I mean, my God.
Wow.
29 miles. 29 miles, guys. It's ridiculous over here. And it's just, you go out to LA and you just like, hey, you're walking up the street and there's some guy yelling at you who thinks he's a wizard and his poop is magic. And yeah, I don't know. It's fucking, it's insane.
What?
Legit, I mean, it's crazy over here, man. I mean, there's literally like the homeless situation. I mean, they're literally building their own homes, like in like center dividers, like when there's islands in between, like, the passing lanes, they're like building homes like in between there. I mean,
yeah, one of the final straws for me was when the governor announced that they were going to use $750 million to put shelters on public property for them to stay in and be rehabbed in. So now anyone basically driving onto the highway, because I was working for Caltrans at the time, driving past all of these homeless shelters and encampments and everything. It's just, it's more like the apocalypse. I mean, I was watching the reference on purpose.
I mean, sorry for Chris and Steven for not being in California, but and not knowing what we're dealing with here. But yeah, I was out in El Segundo last week, and there was literally like encampments in tent cities on train tracks, literally like probably about 2 feet from the tracks. And I'm like, how is that possible? When a train goes by, that's gonna knock that over, or like something's gonna. Why? How is that even possible? Like they literally have tents like 2 or 3 feet off the tracks. Like,
wow.
How are they doing that? And how are they like? It's crazy. It's crazy over here. They just let it happen.
Anyway, we're getting a lot of homeless people here too because they're doing that one-way ticket thing.
What are you talking
And Hawaii is like well, it's nice weather all year long, so they're shipping them one-way tickets over here.
Yep.
And they're loving it, and you ship them back, they come back.
Yeah.
So
no, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
It's funny too because obviously when everybody
You guys should build a wall.
Oh.
in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
No. It's funny too because when you think of Hawaii, you just think of like, oh, perfect beaches, perfect everything. Oh, it's green, palm trees everywhere. But I've been to Hawaii. Twice. I mean, you drive to the freeway, you look over, you're like, wow, that's a pretty ghetto looking area. That's a pretty rundown area. Look at that. You watch Dog the Bounty Hunter, you're like, oh, look at that. They got people like that here too. I'd
say only Kauai,
yeah,
mostly Maui, but if you're in Honolulu, that's like industrial.
Yeah.
You're getting off the airport and the buses are going to Waikiki, and it's just industrial all left and right, and you're like, well, let's put some palm trees up. Oh, it's still kind of ugly.
Just go to the outside, go to the island. It's all good.
Everything go to North Shore,
but when you start moving into the center, it's like everywhere else. There's freeways and everything, and it's just like, hey, you don't feel like you're on an island.
Exactly.
How long have you lived there, Chris, by the way?
All my life.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you've been there for And by the way, how was your Japan trip? You were there for like how many weeks?
It was awesome. Speaking of homeless people, walking throughout the cities, I've only seen maybe one
See,
homeless person. It's clean. The homeless people don't even beg you or anything. And the food is just fantastic.
Of course.
I would definitely want to go back. That's the only country I want to go back to right now.
yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like they got it figured out over there a little bit, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. But but the problem is when you go for vacation, it's nice. But if you live there, you have to deal with the extreme weathers, like wherever you guys are at.
I'm in California. It's that extreme over here. When it rains, the fucking whole state goes on alert. Like, oh my God, it's raining, guys. Watch out. And it's like, oh, shit.
Right. Is Florida warm now or is it cold?
Oh, it's warm. It's amazing.
It's warm now? Oh, okay.
It's great. It's
Oh,
warm in California.
Yeah,
You
it's
go
right.
outside at night in California because of the
Yeah.
desert, it's still cold. You go outside
Yeah.
at night in Florida, it's 60 to 80 degrees and it's warm. It's amazing.
Oh, you got to realize Florida is America's dick, man. It just hangs down there, and it's always warm, man. It's always warm, always warm. California is America's ass. Okay, that's what it is. Okay? You'd rather be the dick, not the ass. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You made a right decision there, Justin. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Florida's
I
weird,
enjoy it very
yeah.
much. To be clear to Alejandro in the chat, I moved to Orlando, not Miami. I wouldn't go anywhere near Miami. I'll visit it. But Miami is
Orlando.
like LA in Florida. No, thank you.
I go there every other year because they have a NAFM. I'm part of that food service show over there in Orlando. So every other year, but it's so weird because one year, and it's around the same time in February, one year it's super cold. The next year, 70 degrees. Like, what is going on?
Yeah,
it varies. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. So
Anyway,
what'd you guys think
sorry,
of
off topic.
we'll get back onto what's on our shirts right now. What did you guys think of the image that Snyder released today, the Flash image?
My first I didn't think this with the Alfred one, but with this one, my very first thought was, why is that in color?
Yeah.
Because like the Alfred one felt like a promo shot, maybe like, oh, maybe that was meant to be in like a magazine and they pulled it.
Crisp as the actual promo shot that we got. It was like a different angle, right?
Yeah, but it felt like, I don't know. It felt like there were so
Yeah.
many ways to kind of brush off the like, that's why it's in color or whatever. But then we got this one, and it's the first that we've got that has any VFX in it that wasn't something we saw in the movie that was in color. And that was really interesting to me. Because a lot of the other VFX ones, like if you know what you're looking for, like they've got green screen and like you can see effects, lights and stuff. I mean, but like this is known. This has been said.
No, but I found it funny too because I saw people actually think like, "Oh, there's two flashes," and I'm like, "Yeah."
I had to explain that one so many times.
There's literally two.
There's. So I saw your theory or Steven's theory where, well, it's not a theory, you probably know, but it's going so fast that you can see multiple of them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then
it's like a time lapse. Like everyone else is moving slow, and
I'm actually wondering if it was like one of those fucking like like a bullet time or a lightning time.
I think it was like I'm really excited about it because I saw it, and my first thought was that looks like they did a time lapse version of the Quicksilver thing in X-Men Days of Future Past. Like you take a little bit of a time lapse effect, you do the Quicksilver thing, but then you also give him like the Feora effect from Man of Steel, and you get boop boop boop. But then there's an after image, so like he's moving people out of the way of an explosion or
and then trying
something.
to block it.
But imagine everybody. So it's like a speed ramping, but it's like a super fast speed ramping, like you normally do. So you've got him like zipping over, and then I don't know, tilting someone, and then zipping, and then tilting it. But you can see his last position still each time he moves.
There's only two flashes, right? Well,
I think there's only two, but they could hypothetically be any number.
I thought it was just a weird remake of the Thriller music video.
It also looked like he was doing something intentional with the lightning.
Yeah,
that was the other thing.
Like he was hugging like the lightning bolt.
Yeah, or like
hugging
he was
the lightning. What is that?
Yeah, it does look like that. It's weird
because his lightning like had an effect, but this almost looks like he's like harnessing it, like he caused a lightning strike or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Isn't this the scene where Cyborg shoots over their head?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the same location at least. Yeah.
Because I thought like, oh, is this like outside Star Labs? And then somebody, and I was like, I'm mainly wrong when I when I talk about certain stuff. And then somebody hit me up with like, I think it's the same spot when Cyborg like shot his whatever the hell is
It was weapon, whatever.
And then they the trailer. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Same doorway, same door was like right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't. I guess we can tell maybe from looking at the theatrical. Someone like Garza would know, who's like picked it apart frame by frame. But that's one of those ones where I always wonder, like, wait, did I just think of it wrong from the trailer, or is that supposed to be outside Star Labs, and they spliced it into the Steppenwolf, the beginning of the tunnel battle? Because we know now from the image of Steppenwolf in Star Labs with Flash or with Cyborg that the Heroes Park fight made its way into Star Labs, and there was or maybe not made its way into, but was Superman left and then they go into Star Labs. But there's something that would have happened outdoors with the Star Lab scientists there as well. So I don't know. It's
great.
Curious.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, and then when I was talking about with Sean, I was like, some people, of course, probably were expecting more. I mean, I know I got hit up like crazy. It's like, what do you think is going to happen on 214? And I'm like, you think footage is going to happen? I'm like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. But, I mean, all we got today was, just that happy 214 and showing that image. And
someone drew that in. Tin foil, like,
yeah, because that's when HBO Max is. Right? I mean, I'll tell everybody this now. I mean, it's not going to happen in May. Obviously, it's not. That's too soon.
At this point, well, episode 1 might happen in May.
Episode 1, yeah, the first half hour. No, but it's definitely not. That's not. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that? I mean, HBO Max, they announced things today, right? I was kind of in and out of Twitter.
I never looked up if it was like a full announcement or if they just started.
It was on Instagram. It was just a whole bunch of
They posted even the Justice League image.
It definitely did. Well, they listed all their most valuable IPs. Basically, is what they did.
Justice League was one of them.
Exactly. Well, but what other Justice League iteration are they going to show? Also,
yeah, true.
It's not like I bet you if Nolan had done his own Justice League before this one, they would have shown Nolan's instead, based on the way they've been doing things. But although you did see the Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and BVS were all featured in the trailer, though.
Whoa.
Are they taking South Park off of South Park Studios and they're going to actually make it behind a paywall now? Because
no,
that's a tangent. Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, there's all these other. I haven't really actually scrolled through it, but
yeah, I'm scrolling through their Instagram now.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That's no bueno.
The only thing new I see on here is there's like an Elmo talk show.
Mm-hmm. Animal talk.
No, Elmo.
Oh,
Elmo, live from 123 Sesame Street.
Okay.
The Powerpuff Girls.
Let's get Elmo on here to promote his talk show, Dave.
Yeah, something like that. But okay. But what was kind of cool today, though, too, is Snyder was actually pretty vocal on Twitter and talking to Subway, showing their
that was
really good.
I like that.
So what would you, Steven, your wife actually asked, what would be on a Subway sandwich? What would you guys put on a Snyder cut Subway sandwich? We'll start with you, Chris.
All meat, no bologna, no cheese. That's awesome. That is just
I love the fact
hilarious.
Well,
I've asked people, what does that mean? I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
My favorite was like the number of people that didn't get it. Like, it was a bunch of people that had to be explained to. Well, that, and then there's two sides. Like the Snyder fans that were like, I don't get it. And it's like cheese and bologna. He's like,
no cheese.
But then also you have like on like the far opposite side, you've got the reaction that's like, well, it figures that Snyder would do something ultra serious like that. He has no sense of humor, like or whatever.
I know.
And that part was funny though.
Yeah.
Obviously has a sense.
It's like it's the most like self-aware joke like I've ever seen. It was hilarious. He knew exactly what he was saying. This is not him.
Levels, because that guy eats a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, as I was trying to think of it, I was like, they're like Snyder Cut sandwich. I was like, there's no way he eats carbs.
Yeah, that's
that's right.
And so, but I was like, I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to be the moron that's like, oh hey,
he's going to need that protein.
The Snyder Cut isn't a sandwich; it's a salad. Like
exactly. That's why I said steak, egg, cheese, beef, avocado for your amino.
So that's why I was so happy when he said all meat. I was like, yeah, you know what? No bun either. Like just do it. So I went with I posted a steak, and I was like, this is the official sandwich of the Snyder Cut.
Exactly. But remember what you responded to mine, Steven. You said, well,
like
a ... brunch sandwich.
You put egg on it.
I'm like, yeah, it does. Oh, you fucking ass.
Well,
real quick.
The official Subway account responded to Snyder with a Joss Whedon quote.
Oh shit, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he responded. He said like, "What would be the good ingredients on a sandwich?" And they said like something like, "Oh, anything that keeps the Snyder Cut or keeps up hope for the Snyder Cut, because hope is one of those things where if you can't find it and you just look hard," whatever. It was like the
car keys thing.
I don't even remember the whole thing because it's so like, but yeah.
Yeah, it's sad, but yeah, I mean, like that's why. What?
I said fucking normies.
I know, that's why I was like, yeah, Snyder would put just nothing but fucking meat on top of meat. I was like, oh,
no, I did keto for a while. I don't know exactly how that works. It's awesome.
That's why, yeah, you did that. But yeah, I mean, he's been fairly quiet lately, but I mean, there's been other things happening. I don't know. I mean, I know before I even had Sean on, people were asking me, did you hear about this, that, and this, about the certain Snyder Cut Twitter handle and this, that, and this? And I know there was, I don't know. I know. I mean, I guess I'll ask some of you guys' thoughts about what's going on with the release of Snyder. I think Justin really wants to talk about something. I could see him being a little.
He'll probably want to say more than I do.
Yeah, I think we'll start with.
We should let Chris go first.
Oh yeah,
why?
No. Because some people were.
Go ahead, Justin.
I mean, on the spot right there.
That way.
I mean,
you can't do this.
I don't give a fuck.
No. Go for it, Justin. Go for it. What
I was just looking at the chat too, and I was seeing that Will Rollins outed Vinaldo as the guy leading the account. Is that the truth? Is that what happened today?
Oh, I'm so shocked.
Wow.
I had someone else picked.
Look, here's the fucking thing, right? This is what I want to say, and this is what everybody needs to fucking acknowledge the reality of, because I've been sick of this for a long time. And I do have a little bit of a personal beef because I've been blocked twice by that fucking account for just voicing my opinion. And in the beginning, when that account started, I messaged them, I tweeted at them, and I was like, why aren't your DMs open? Because as Steven was pointing out with the Sean conversation, just keeping the DMs open for media to reach out to you, just from a pure PR standpoint, right? And here's the problem, right? From the beginning, this guy, Vinaldo, has been controlling the movement and pushing it for his own gratification of his ego. That's all it is. And people have been standing by idly and letting it happen. They're not standing up and saying something. And I'm glad people are finally standing up and saying something, because all of this toxic stuff we can see is a result of things like that. This is a guy who's so disconnected that he will sit there and say Batman versus Superman is the most left-wing comic book movie ever released. I'm not claiming it's right-wing. I'm not claiming it's left-wing. I'm just saying that is insane, because Snyder was intentionally making a movie that mediated. That's the entire point of the movie. Batman versus Superman. It mediates. And we're going to sit here and let this guy push his agenda and tell us everybody else is bad. And then what does he do? He uses high school tactics. He gives people nicknames. And he goes, oh, they're the 40 Club. They're this, they're that. And people fucking buy into it. And then he just does that every time. And they keep pushing and they keep buying his shit. Everything he does is to put him into power. And then you're going to sit here and talk about integrity and talk about standing up for Zack Snyder and you care about integrity of art, you're not even caring what the movies are about. You're not even caring what Zack Snyder's about. You're buying into this shit. You have no integrity yourself. You're a Zack Snyder fan and you look at all his heroes, never compromise, and you're fucking compromising every day by letting this go on? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. The account should be run by somebody like, and I'm not saying you should do it, but it should be somebody like Chris, who everybody likes, and he's nice to everybody, and he's open, and he has conversations. That's who should run an account like that, not a fucking jackass.
I'm so fucking
For one,
disappointed.
Chris the next.
Fuck, man. Jeez. No, you're right.
Like I said, I'll take the hit. I'll be the bad guy. I don't give a fuck anymore.
I totally agree. I think we all kind of agree that Mr. Swenson right here has always been like that good mediator, that good like, hey, let's, he's got the acoustic guitar and he's like, kumbaya, Lord, kumbaya,
Yeah.
Like someone said, also Jose said like Chris and McD, and I think that's a good point. Also, is that I know this wasn't the intention, but like the JL poster contest had all the TPZ guys' names listed on it.
Yeah.
And I understand the benefit of anonymity, and so I'm not going to say that like it's necessary to take that away from that account. But at the same time, if there was a panel of people running it that everyone could agree with, even if it was people that disagreed with each other, like I don't know, you put a handful of people on there that everyone's going to feel voiced, and then there's actually a conflict between, do we tweet this, do we not tweet that, how do we cover this, and that you're not getting something that's just like a confirmation bias of this lines up with exactly what a certain part of the fans think, and you can actually be more well-rounded.
Well, I mean, that account put out the rules, and then all of a sudden they weren't
following those
they
rules.
didn't follow those from day one. They said like, we're not going to post rumors, and then like the definition of rumor isn't even established, but it was spreading false information about the cut from day one. And it's stuff that at the time people took as gospel, but we now know was not. Some of us knew at the time it was not, and we said it, and it took all this time from them pushing it for people to come around on it.
Because the guy doing it is literally a Snyder villain. He's fucking God. He's Lex. He's Ozymandias. Look at the characters and look at him. It's the same fucking person.
There you go.
By the way, I want to say thanks to the Men in Tight podcast. They said they compared me to CM Punk. I'll take that any day of the week, straight up. For my hero. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's interesting because we all had our suspicions who was behind that account. Like how many people and what. I mean, and regardless of who actually knew who was behind that account. But then the fact that when I interacted with that account, like personally, I knew 100%.
It was obvious.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had one interaction, and when I got that tweet, I was like, "Oh, it is him right now."
Right now.
There's nobody else would react like that, and I literally was like, "Dude, relax," like because it was somebody else that was fearing that their Twitter account was going to get suspended for some reason, and they were saying their goodbyes to me and the RT Snyder Cut account, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, we don't want to be involved in this, that, and this, blah blah blah. And I was like, whoa, hey, he was just worried about this. It was kind of an overreaction. Don't worry, relax. And then he just went off like the full whatever the hell, how many characters you have, paragraph of I don't want to be this, that, and then I'm like, holy shit, it is him.
Oh my god.
Like, I'm like, and that was followed. That was when I unfollowed it because I did follow it down for a bit.
The account I never
Never.
The day the account showed it was like a week after he deleted all of his old tweets and like went on private for I guess he does that yearly or something.
He does that.
No, he doesn't. That's a lie. He's protecting himself. That's all it is.
Oh, I know it is now, but I'm being fair. I'm making sure that things that have been said are said, so it's obvious. But I can't let context go unsaid. Maybe it was a lie, but it was a thing that was said.
Nobody would ever take things out of context on this.
But like, this is not the first time he's had a meltdown and had people be like, "Dude, what the hell?" And so he conveniently deleted all his old tweets and disappeared, and then like RT Snyder Cut shows up behaving exactly the same way, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever." And what they forgot in the process was that the movement was always the hashtag. And so now you had an account that was just kind of a personification of the hashtag. And then what happened over time is the account forgot that it was driven by the hashtag and it thought it drove the hashtag. And that's wrong.
Right.
You know, there's a difference between creating a wave and writing one. And there is value to having a traffic cop to kind of encourage people and help people. But that's, you know, been around this whole time. November 17th was not, we didn't trend over 1 million tweets because one account said everybody tweet. We trended over 1 million tweets because it was the 2-year anniversary and there's a passionate fan base that everybody wanted to be heard, and they were all hyped up. That was not because I wasn't hyped because of that account. I was hyped because of things that we've heard.
Yeah,
and the date. And
we were hearing that there might be a possibility that some of the cast members
exactly. Well, and several of us in here, you know, Chris has always used it, but you know, Dave and I have had a different relationship with the hashtag.
Yeah.
And we and other people that we know who also don't use it as often were like, no, today is the day that you use it. You know, for a reason. And then Gal joined in, and Affleck joined in. And that's like what sent it over the top. The fact that any one person that is not Zack Snyder, Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, or any of the other, you know, million people that tweeted, anyone who's going to be like, oh yeah, no, that's because of me. Like I started yelling at Ben Affleck about 20 minutes before he finally tweeted. I was like, where's Affleck? I'm not taking credit for that. I'm not an idiot. There's thousands of people doing that.
Because of you.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But that's because I know that I was part of a wave, not causing a wave. And that's whoever runs that account needs to understand that they're a traffic cop. Their foot is not on the accelerator.
What were you saying, Justin? Like, I didn't.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I was agreeing with Steven that people who don't even ever get on Twitter and tweet about it were joining in. I had friends who were reaching out to me and being like, "What's going on Twitter?" And I was like, "Get on there right now."
Right.
No, listen to my show. We're disconnected. We're doing that.
Dude, there were people in the business that were going like, yeah, I've been a guest today. Hey, I want to see the Snyder Cut. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. There were people with check marks that are in the biz, and people that you would not expect to tweet out the hashtag that did it that day. I mean, even the day after.
People that aren't aren't even like part of a fandom, like news anchors and like.
Just like today had some news anchors. I think there was two.
Yeah,
that lady.
Like, who was what's his name? It's a TV personality people know. He played the BVS song. I think he played "Beautiful Lie" on the piano, and he's not like a part of comic book Twitter.
No.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I mean. We've always talked about too is like, okay, all of us here, you know, specifically even like, you know, Steven and Justin, like one of the reasons why Justin went to Comic-Con with the sign and why him and I went to D23 with the sign. It was like, okay, there needs to be something more. We need to get the word out there. Not just, you can't just tweet every day. Anytime Warner Brothers tweets something, you just go underneath and go, release Snyder Cut. It wasn't enough, but the fact of the matter is when everybody came together that day, that was like the perfect time where it just spread and it took it to a whole other level. Like, yeah, we might have been like, okay, yeah, tweeting the release the Snyder Cut hashtag is not really doing much as of now because it wasn't. It was stagnant for a while. It was so fucking stagnant. That's why we were like, hey, let's do videos, you know, for instance, or post pictures of Justin at Comic-Con or him and I at D23 doing that video to try to spread the word and talk to people about it. We were trying to do something more. But then when it came to that day where everybody just kind of just came together and then so many people joined in to get it to where it was trending almost everywhere, that was when it was the perfect time to do it, just like today. And then it's actually stayed. Obviously it peaked big time, but it didn't go down. I mean, Steven, you've seen the analytics where it's peaked and then it just drops. It just dropped. But after that day, it didn't really drop that much, right?
Yeah, well, it's dropped down from what it was on the 17th, but there's a like the baseline like buzz, for lack of a better word, for the movie is like higher than the previous peak was, which was the Ben Fritz article was like because of the Wall Street Journal was like the highest like search value it had ever had, and now it's over that. I mean, I guess I haven't checked recently, but for several months it was over that daily.
Yeah. So it dropped, but it didn't drop like a free fall like it usually does. It was like, oh, it only did a little tiny drop, like, or whatever the hell. So
that's the thing about Zack Snyder is he appeals beyond what the media and the bloggers and the reviewers are telling us. And this is part of what I always talk about with the ideology, the ideas, and the appeal of the movie. Yeah. There's always been in this country, since I've been alive, and especially recently, the divide between the Hollywood elite who try to tell us what we're gonna like and what the whole rest of the fucking country likes, right? And Zack Snyder squarely hits that.
Yep.
I have students asking me about my tattoo, right? And I had a girl come up to me yesterday and ask me, what's your tattoo? And I told her, and she goes, oh, what director? And I said, Zack Snyder. And you know what she said to me? Without missing a beat, she goes, oh, my dad loves him. This is a random 16-year-old girl outside Orlando, Florida. She knows who he is. Her dad loves him. I guarantee you he's never heard about the movement. He doesn't know what happened to the movie.
But he likes the director.
He's too busy working. Yeah. And he loves the director. That's the power of this movement, is it's bringing more and more people in. This campaign is bringing more and more people in who are the everyday people who are just out there working, living their lives, taking care of their families, who love Zack Snyder's work because that's who he appeals to.
Do you guys want to know
American individualism?
Some crazy search information to get an idea of what the average person is interested about with the Snyder Cut. One of the top searches for the Snyder Cut is Snyder Cut release date.
Ooh. Really? People want to know.
Or like Snyder Cut Blu-ray. It's people that have no idea. Like they don't like nobody. None of the 22,000 people that follow RT Snyder Cut would Google Snyder Cut release date because they're watching for it on Twitter. They're watching for it on Vero. They know there's not a release date yet. That is the number one search result, and it is coming entirely from the least passionate part of it. The fans are searching release the Snyder Cut. They're searching Zack Snyder's Justice League, that kind of stuff. Maybe trailer. They'll search Snyder Cut trailer or Snyder Cut images or whatever. And that's like the fourth or fifth result overall. So that tells you a volume of people that like want it but know nothing about it versus the people that we talk to every day. It's such a minority. They're not searching that every day either. They're not searching Snyder Cut release date every day. They're searching that because they read an article on it and they're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder when it comes out, because articles now say it exists.
Right.
How many conversations have I had with like friends and stuff like that who saw Justice League and was like, oh my God. I'm like, well, you realize there's a whole other, thing out there. And then I explain them what happened. And then I say, yeah, there's like a 3.5-hour movie that you haven't seen. And then they go, I'd like to see it. That sounds like it's very interesting. Yeah. I like BVS. I'm like, oh yeah, there you go. So, I mean, it's out there in the zeitgeist. What's up, Justin?
Those conversations you're talking about is one of the first reasons I knew Steven got it. And he was someone to talk to more, because he pointed out that when those people who are just normal everyday people get on Twitter and they see the fucking parademons out there just attacking people who say anything that seems vaguely negative about Zack Snyder, it's going to turn them off because they're going to go, what's wrong with these fucking people? First of all, why are you naming your Twitter accounts after the fucking bad guys from Justice League? Zack Snyder said the irony of his Superman is there is no irony. He is hope and positivity. And then you're going to fucking drag that down by being ironic with the parademons? Like,
it's a good
you're
point.
Alienating all these people.
That's a good point. Yeah. I don't understand it myself. The fact that, like, the movement branched off into like different groups and like they started naming themselves, and it was like, what the fuck is going on here? I thought we were supposed to be the shirt literally says United. Come on, let's go.
Do you think that was kind of Snyder's message with the shirt? Don't you think he was saying that a little bit?
A little bit. I think the part that we're missing in this particular part of the conversation, probably because we are more aligned on this than a lot of people. But like we are into the filmmaker, we're into the films. We're into the characters, except for Justin. I know you like them, but you're like not like you're not drawn to it because it's Batman. You're drawn to it because it's Zack Snyder.
Correct.
And so we all are in it because we want to see that properly serviced. We want to see what Zack intended. We want to see what was going to happen with the characters. We want justice for the situation at hand, etc. And I think I'm not saying that's not common across the board. Like, nope. I think everybody in here is going to say that like Zack Snyder is like the number one priority. But there's a lot of people in the movement that are in the movement because of the movement, and they found friends in the movement when they maybe had a harder time making friends outside the movement, or the movement was there when they were down and needed something, and so the people in the movement, that's what Sean is writing his book about. Right.
Yeah.
And so whereas we look at it and we're going to say, okay, Zack is the number one most important thing. Zack's cut is the number one most important thing. Therefore, these fans are just that. They're fans, but they're not related to, they don't stand between us and what we want, other than the fact that like we think we're all going for the same thing. And while that is something that they are looking for from Zack, it's not that they don't want the cut, but if somebody is going to criticize the fandom or their friends, that is the whole reason they do this, is because of the community that is united around Zack Snyder. And I don't know that, Chris might be plugged into it a little bit more than us, but I think we're probably a little more out. We're not in any of the people call us the 40 Club, but we're not like, we don't actually have the social.
We're not actually
like we're friends, like we're all friends. We all talk. We know each other because of this. But we don't have that like social camaraderie that a lot of those other groups have. And that's that's good for their mental health. That's good for their whatever. But if somebody comes around and is an enemy of them, like look out, their brothers have their back. And it's a threat, because that is the most important part about it to them.
Right. And that's part of any movement, right? People who are looking for a sense of belonging are going to be drawn to it. And that's been around since even pre this whole Justice League thing. I mean, I hated Man of Steel answers from the beginning for the same reason, because they sit there and they go, it's all subjective, and then I'm going to tell you what's true about this movie. You can't have it both ways, buddies.
No,
you can't be the elite expert and then just go, it's all subjective. If it's all subjective, everyone's equal. We're just all talking here. So there have always been people looking for that connection and looking for the belonging and looking for that dominance. But to me, it's the same thing as a sports team. It's the same thing as young men, young women who are looking for a sense of belonging will join a team. And it is the responsibility of the coach to cultivate them, to make sure the team is healthy and they're doing it for the right reasons. Now, we don't have a coach because we're all equals here, but that's what makes the danger of someone like, and I'm going to go back there, that's the danger of someone like Ronaldo, because he takes them and he cultivates them the wrong way on purpose for himself in the narcissistic sense. Because I'm an objectivist, you know that. And I don't have a problem with the self. I have a problem with someone who doesn't treat other people like equals and respects their individuality. And that's what happens. These people come in looking for individuality, and somebody stokes that flame to use them to make himself a big deal, rather than make it about, hey, we all have this shared mutual value. Let's bond over that.
Well, and it's taking the energy that they want to give, right? The community has benefited them in some way. They found belonging, so they want to give back. They want to help Zack. They want to help the movement, and then they're pointed to a pillar of, here is the one way you can help, and the one way you can be involved. And why is it the one way? Well, because some dude said it was one way, and 5 of his friends went along with it, and then there's a big account that is dedicated to something I care about. I'll follow it, and all of a sudden it is the thing. When it's not. Some of the most impactful events have been organized by the smallest team of people, right? Like you see all the kind of the stuff TPZ has pulled off, especially in the charity area. The posters thing is the most visible thing they've done, but almost anything that's gone to AFSP is because of like Mick D and those guys putting that together, or like the Ink to the People thing. They're like, they are so in tight with the Snyder Cut movement now because of kind of the relationships that those guys have created, and it's been quiet, and so it's not as flashy, and so maybe not as many people know about it, but it's been happening the whole time, behind the scenes or out in the open. And that's been, people like Sean. That's the reason Sean is interested or even caring, is because he's able to look at those numbers and say, wow, they've done amazing things. This isn't just entitled fans. But you don't get that if you look at every corner. And so it's, it's a good thing. Those smaller, groups like TPZ have been so persistent about getting that done, because once you let the kind of ideology be defined from a single pillar, people lose, when you're in a movement like this, people kind of lose proportionality to the rest of. It's like getting off the moving walkway at the airport, or like if you're at a bar yelling a story to your friend, and all of a sudden the music cuts out, and you're like, "Oh, I haven't been screaming." Like,
and then I got crabs for the third time. Oh shit!
Question, Dave?
What are you talking about? That didn't happen to me. No, I see what you're saying. Well, no, go ahead, Justin. What were you
I was going to say a point with what Steven said about the one pillar thing. It's not just the one pillar. It's the one pillar who then shames you for not agreeing with the one pillar. So it's like, oh, you dare think this isn't the one way? Well, you're an idiot. Well, then these people looking for belonging don't want to feel like an idiot. So they go, oh, yeah, of course I believe that. Oh, yeah. And they fall in line. It's fear. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
The opposite of everything Zack Snyder has in his movie.
Yeah. I don't like that bullying tactic, because that's people are bullying Zack Snyder already. Why are you doing the same?
Yeah.
And I just want to say that I've been kind of disappointed in the RT Snyder Cut lately.
Wow.
But it is. I'm gonna say that the whole thing where not tweeting release a Snyder Cut on 2/14 day was kind of and you see the response, you see that the fandom, you see the people are telling you something different. Instead of taking that in and thinking, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe we should approach this thing differently. Maybe we can just do another hashtag. And so it makes it easier for the judges, right? So you're saying you're not going to do that. And then you say that, well, we can't control what you guys do. Okay, well, that still doesn't solve the problem for your judges to be able to get to that thing easily. So I like that the ZSJL fan posters, I like that the He Has Yet to Rise for the SnyderCut.com, that they actually had a system in place for people to find out, to gather that information, to gather the posters, to gather the He Has Yet to Rise videos,
Yeah, it did.
Well, and there's this stigma against using two hashtags, and I don't know where that comes from. There's no, on Facebook, that's a true thing. There is statistically speaking, on Facebook, engagement drops off the more hashtags you use. That's not true on Twitter, unless the only time is if you are trying, for marketing purposes, if you're a company and you're trying to start a marketing campaign or something, you want to try to keep it to a single hashtag, and you want it to be short because you want it to be something where people remember, and you don't want them to accidentally use the wrong one and siphon off your own traffic. But when you are an organized movement and you're being coordinated, additional hashtags have because Twitter doesn't have an engagement algorithm like Facebook does. Where the more engagement something gets, the more people see it, because you see something when someone on your timeline likes or retweets it. There is a direct action reaction there. Whereas the equivalent on Facebook is all of a sudden it'll show you nobody you know follows this person, but it's really popular. You get that on Twitter once you start trending. But anyway, long digital marketing brain dump. But the fact of the matter is, using a second hashtag on the campaign is not going to hurt anything, and it's going to make it easier for your judges. It's a weird. Go
ahead, Justin.
Right.
I was just gonna say, on Instagram, you can use 8 hashtags.
Yeah.
Oh, people use 40 of them.
You can search.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually saw that late, and I actually saw more people responding to that than anything. I was like,
and then the weirdest part is that there was such a strong response, and who I only saw one or two people defending it, and it's people that are like I don't know, like you want to be any more obvious, like who's controlling the account?
No. Jesus Christ. You just totally, you might just like posted a sign like I run this fucking Twitter
Yeah.
handle. But it was just like, yeah, just use a separate hashtag. And then you can also use the Release the Snyder Cut. I mean, Release the Snyder Cut is like the general hashtag for the whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
That
unless the whole point of the whole thing was not
campaign.
Yeah. Unless the point of that whole thing was not for the sake of the campaign, but an effort to demonstrate that they are controlling the wave instead of writing it. Which obviously didn't work. It got over 50,000 tweets today. So, it drives on its own. That's without any support at all.
Right.
Well, I had some people messaging me saying, fuck that, we're going to tweet extra now because they told us not to.
Yeah.
So maybe it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I had it like 6 or 7 times, just like because they were pushing again. I mean, that was that was the worst tweet to tweet out from that account.
Yeah. Well, and especially maybe it's a simple mistake first. Like I'm willing to accept that anything is just dumb mistake. I make dumb mistakes all the time. Yeah. But
not a dumb mistake.
But we know it's not a dumb mistake because when they had like hundreds of people saying, let's not do that, and like there's not a strong buoy of support. Now it's one thing if it's like, look, it legitimately won't work and you guys are too dumb to understand it, and that's one thing. But when it's a matter of pride and it's like, well, no, we said we're going to do it this way and we're not going to change for anybody's convenience, is just another thing entirely. So
right.
And at that point, there's no more excuse. There you go, Justin.
Exactly. It is all calculated. No more excuses. Own up to it. Call them out. From here on out, anybody.
Or at least be open to suggestion. I think to be open to suggestions, especially like you said, hundreds of people told you those suggestions. Maybe listen to it a little bit.
Well, and then if you do give in, or if you do like, I don't know, throw in the towel or whatever you're gonna call it, don't be like snarky about it. Like you are here because of these people. It's like literally, you are here because they have put you in charge of doing something that they are passionate about. And now all of a sudden it's not about those people anymore. Like the hashtag is the movement. It doesn't matter if there's a 22,000 follower account or a 500,000 follower account or a 2 follower account. You tweet the hashtag, everyone can see it. It's a beacon, right? It's the light in the beacon of Gondor, right? So you don't. It's a traffic cop. I'm not gonna start again.
Yeah, might as well.
RT Snyder Cut was supposed to represent the movement, and yesterday it didn't.
Yeah,
I think
it never did. It
never did. Yesterday more so. How's that?
the thought is just broken for everyone else. Like I knew it didn't from the beginning, as I said. From the beginning, when they put those rules up, and then I immediately pointed something out. You know, the rules were we are open to suggestions from everyone. And I said, okay, I'd like to DM you because I don't want to put that shit publicly. If we're going to have a strategy discussion, that's something I can tell you privately. And they go, our DMs aren't open. And then a week later, other people were DMing with them. That was when I immediately was like, okay, this is a fucking click. This is somebody controlling this shit. The rules were only ever there for the person running it to exploit. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, they tweet out to be like, everyone go report this YouTube video because they said something mocking Snyder Cut fans.
Right.
And then like someone will be like, oh, hey, this person's being a total asshole. And they have release a Snyder Cut in their handle. And like, oh, no, we don't get involved in fan squabbles.
Well, that's the tweet that I got involved with. Like, oh, we don't want to get involved. And I was just like, what the fuck? Did you really have to answer like that? Shut up.
Honestly, that is the thing that frustrates me the most. For those of us Snyder fans who have been here since before Man of Steel.
Jesus Christ. No.
We've been hearing this shit. Like I said, Watchmen. Oh, he didn't understand the graphic novel. He fucked up the ending. You don't even understand when he did the ending if you're saying that shit. You're coming at me like that. Oh, Sucker Punch. He's misogynistic.
Look at all the skin.
Anita Sarkeesian. We've been hearing that for years. They're going to say it. They're going to say it no matter what. And to focus the movement on that is missing the point of everything. It shows that they're Johnny-come-latelys because they put too much emphasis on it.
Well, look at some of these Twitter. Well, like look when they started at Twitter. It's like 2017, 2018, 2019. I got involved with somebody yesterday, last night, and he joined Twitter November of 2017. I'm like, okay,
Of the handful of troll accounts I have dancing through my mentions daily,
joined so late.
they are collectively less than 6 months old.
Exactly, and I'm like, why am I?
So full timers are actually part timers.
Yeah, exactly. I know we're called part timers, but yet there's a lot of people that didn't that joined later than we did. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it doesn't even.
I don't get that part timer thing too. I mean, it's just if you're gonna call people part timer, you can go ahead and call Gal and Ben Affleck a part timer because they didn't enjoy
Zach a part timer. He's making a whole other. He's making another Snyder movie before the credits out.
Just be happy people are joining in. Just be happy that people are coming together. I don't get it. Yeah.
Right now,
if it was a real healthy value, they would. When I see more people who appreciate it on the same level, like all of you, which is why I've become friends with you and I continue to interact, I go, wow, these people share a value with me. That makes my life better. Exactly. But they're not about that. That's how you know they're not about that.
Yeah, it's all ego. It's a lot of ego out there, which is it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, specifically too. I mean, I got fired up yesterday because people underneath Matt Reeves' posting of the Batman camera test, they're like, "Fuck that scrawny Batman! I'm not going to see this shit. This is our Batman." And I'm like, "Don't do that. That's not good for the movement." And I probably shouldn't have tweeted that out, but I was like, fuck it, whatever. You know, I got fired up and I'm like, okay, this is exactly, you guys weren't around, not you guys, but those guys were not around when this shit was happening under Snyder's tweet, when he tweeted out the Ben Affleck image in 2014. Fuck this, Bale's my Batman. Fuck your Ben Affleck bullshit.
Why is he emo?
I remember the Nolan one too.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I am pissed that
I thought then I was like defending it then, and now you guys are doing the exact same thing people are doing to this Batman, and you have released the Snyder Cut in your fucking name. That's not a good when you're talking about artistic integrity or freedom and stuff like that. You don't care when somebody else has freedom when they're going to do their version of the character? Yeah, okay, you throw that out the window because it's not the one that you wanted or whatever the fuck. Sorry, go ahead. What?
Well, no, I was going to say I am mad. Despite Snyder Cut fans being upset, I am mad that there's not more sad Battinson memes.
Oh.
Like the entire internet is like,
he was looking down.
He was looking down. I mean, he looked up.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, ooh, the symbol on his chest is Joe Chill's gun. It's like, first of all, nobody has shown me how that's a gun yet. And like, I've talked to gun owners, and they're like, it's not any gun I've ever seen.
I know. Like, there's that one lady who said that, right? And then everybody just took off.
There's a bunch of people who have said it, and like it's gun metal and maybe, but like there's no single component on it that is lifted from a gun. It's not a melted down gun. It's not a sawed in half gun. It's not guns.
It looks vaguely like a handle is the thing.
Yeah, well, it might be the grapnel gun because it's got the right angle on it that's similar to the grapnel gun. But
it's tactical, that's for sure. Something's going to be used with that. I don't know. I like,
but it's insane that like everyone's freaking out over that though. They're like, "Oh, that's so awesome that the guns, the symbol on his chest is the guns." Like, imagine if that was. I hate being imagine if Snyder did that person, but like legitimately, imagine if Snyder's Batman had Joe Chill's gun as the bat emblem on his chest.
They're destroyed.
Oh man, it's hilarious at this point. I know people are mad, but like,
I thought Batman didn't use guns. Wasn't that a big thing about?
Well, that's why it's a symbol on his chest, so that he remembers not to shoot anybody.
Yeah, there were people that were referring to the that where he melted the gun, but he put it as a chest plate and armor underneath. And I'm like, okay, so this is a little different. He just took the gun and like split it in half and made it a bat. I don't know. I can't see.
I can't wait for Robert Pattinson's Batman to kill somebody.
There you go. Huge fan of you, Chris, and me. But I'm sure all of us. Yeah. Anyways, thanks.
I saw somebody compare the video, the new suit to Daredevil on Netflix. I want more of those memes. I want more. The Batman is the new Daredevil of Netflix.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. The red filter doesn't help. But I mean, I'm sure that obviously there's a reason why Matt Reeves is choosing. I mean, the font for the Batman on the slate was red, so obviously there's some kind of color scheme that he's using for that reason. I mean, yeah, I mean, that was the first thing I got Arkham and Daredevil vibes from that.
Me too.
This video, yeah.
Yeah.
Which nothing wrong with that. I mean, Netflix Daredevil is fucking awesome. What are you talking about? Is that a bad comparison? No.
I actually saw the video first. I didn't even read the caption.
Yeah.
And so my first thought was just, oh, Daredevil's back. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
that's not Daredevil. No. And then I look at the
But you know
it's Batman.
That score though is pretty epic.
What's funny about that score, though, I mean, it is. If you think about it, it is Darth Vader's theme with less notes. Dun,
Well, they've even got like the some strings or something comes in at the end.
dun, 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 dun.
But you know, and I haven't.
I'm not shitting on it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, and I don't know I'm not good enough with music to know beyond just like my ear suggests it might be. But I think that the animated Batman animated theme is like the same key.
It's got a little bit, yeah.
And you could
more
you could probably
or
it might be, but I bet you could I bet you could rearrange the Batman thing or like change the tempo to make it sound pretty similar to the Imperial March. And that's just, I could be entirely wrong. And someone that actually knows music theory will be like, Steven, you're an idiot. But but regardless, I thought it was, I did get animated series vibes
a little bit
in a good way.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Well, also it's leading to something too. It's like not the actual theme, which is, I'm very curious. Like, where does that go?
Build.
Like, what's the swell? Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it's not the 90s because someone had a behind-the-scenes shot of someone with a cell phone.
I almost freaked out a little bit.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
That guy comes on to my.
Watch it really be.
He comes on to my.
Did you invite him?
Yeah.
You know what the funniest thing is? It's the ultimate cover. No one would fucking believe it was him, so it could really be him.
It really could be him. Like, sipping on like some scotch right now, just going,
Yeah.
"These fucking guys wearing my shirts."
It's Valentine's Day. If he's on this stream right now, he's.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I sent him the link to Vera.
Did you send him Vera tonight's?
No, I didn't do tonight's. I should have.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
do it right
Valentine's Day. Let's not do that to Debbie.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, Debbie, I got to talk about 214 with some internet dudes.
These guys, I know it's Valentine's Day.
I don't know. That's what I told my wife.
I know.
I took her out to dinner. Hey, I'm going to go back and talk about it.
You're on this live stream right now. You got done with your Valentine's Day stuff early. I get it. I got a live stream to do tonight, So, when it comes to everything, I know a lot of people wanted today to be as big as December, but. And what are you laughing at?
Somebody
messaged the Snyder guy and said, type A in the chat if it's actually you.
Oh. Type
Why
A,
would he?
actually you.
You would type A. That's
really,
funny.
Zack Snyder, you better send me a DM right now on Vero. Like, that's me. That'd be fucking crazy if it actually was. I'm actually, you know what's funny? I'm so stupid, I'm gonna check. Oh man. He's busy, yeah. Jack's a little busy right now, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Oh.
Him and Deborah are
oh, okay.
oh wow.
That's not good. That's personal.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I checked my DMs and I didn't realize that Snyder. I sent him a picture of me with the shirt, and he actually did respond. So that's pretty cool.
What is it?
Cool. Hey.
Badass. He said it's badass.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Ooh. Clout.
Oh my god, I'm getting
Yeah.
my Zach crack. Oh god.
You always mention you're so
It's him.
close to the coffee shop. Just
Oh,
will you just go there
I know.
and sit there
He
every
put it in the
day?
chat. It's irrefutable proof.
Hey, I've actually
Crack was put into the Snyder Cut movement by the government to destroy it.
exactly. No, but I've actually
I mean, that is a conspiracy, so don't be careful.
Well, I had.
Well, you know what I was referencing, I'm assuming.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't.
Well, and I do now. Yeah.
The conspiracy where crack was put into certain communities.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, but you also know it is a conspiracy that Zach was sabotaged by the
No,
government.
but I actually did. I actually sent Snyder a message saying, like, hey, man, if you ever want to get coffee and talk about some stuff, let's do it. And he actually said, the coffee's in your future. And I'm like, what?
Okay. How
Wait,
far in the future?
Wow.
Fucking said that. Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
He
when?
knows what he's doing.
When?
He knows what he's doing. When Colbert said it before, Steven said it before, that when he knew what was coming down the pipeline, this is Steven's theory. When he knew what was coming down the pipeline with Justice League, he started planning shit. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing with these negotiations. And he said that to you because he's going to reach out to you when promotion starts.
Exactly. That's what I was kind of thinking too. And remember, Chris, when we were at the SnyderCon event, remember when we were sitting next to each other and he was talking, and he's all, yeah, I look out to those guys, and I know those guys. And we looked at each other like, is he pointing at us? Pointing at us? It looked like he was pointing at us. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is he pointing at us? Oh my God. But I mean, when you talked to Snyder, he kind of like almost talked to you like he already knew who you were, right?
Well, yeah, he just saw me and says, thank you so much
Yes.
for your videos. And I watch you every morning. And Deborah's like, who is this guy? Who are you watching?
That's what was great about that one.
Yeah.
Why does he have that tinfoil on his head?
Right. I brought the hat because my wife says, bring the hat. And thank you, Russ Barnes. I know you're in there for that hat. And I just presented, he says, of course, the hat. Like that blew me away. Yeah.
When I walked up, he was like, hey, there's the guy. I mean, when he said that, and then of course we joked around and blah blah blah, and then after he signed his stuff and we did the video thing, he goes, hey, he's like, I appreciate what you do. And I was like, what? Yes, thank you, sir. Oh, you know, I mean, you want to talk about Zach crack? I got it fucking shoved up my ass right there, just like, you know, what were you gonna say, Justin?
Oh, I just said hi to Russ. That's
all.
all.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, I saw Russ in the chat earlier, so he was there. I don't know if he's still there.
Russ, I'll get back to you for that DM.
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy to me about all this is like you guys like are talking about all this Zach Crack stuff. I literally at that event I talked to him about Sucker Punch. That's how much I'm like.
You saw that video too before the event. Your video was all over the place.
Well, that's how I met Justin, is because I saw that going on, and it just he laughed and he said, what did he say? He was like, what else would it be, or something like that? And I was like, he just guessed something that was like a major confirmation that Zach found it. So I was like, who is this in the video that he's talking to? And someone's like, I think it's Midside. And so I just like DM'd you. I'm like, what did you tell him? What was the joke? And you were like, oh, I said that everything was phallic for a reason, or something like that.
It was a long-standing debate I had with my best friend about Sucker Punch. I probably told this before, but all the new people can hear it.
Say it again.
But I think all the phallic imagery in Sucker Punch is intentional.
Oh, of course.
All of it is to say, you know, they're destroying these men that are hurting them, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, if I ever meet Zack Snyder, that's the question I'm going to ask him. I'm going to get him to confirm.
And this, I always have to clarify this when you tell the story. So this friend told you that all of the phallic imagery in Sucker Punch was like accidental.
He said,
like, there's a ton of like.
This is exactly what he said. He said that unless you talk to Zack Snyder, you'll never be able to confirm it because there's so much that you can interpret. Because I'm even saying that the samurai swords is intentionally phallic. Because when the samurai are running around trying to kill her, the swords are popping out the side there like an erection. I think that's intentional.
Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna watch the movie in a whole.
Did you ask him about that one? Did you ask him about that one specifically?
No, the one I asked him about specifically was when she picks up the baby dragon's head and slits the throat. Because that looks like a penis. It is intentionally meant to be a penis. And look, that's all the quote unquote Zach crack I need. Because in that moment when he was talking to me and he was laughing, I knew he was like, this guy gets it. And I appreciate that he gets it. And I felt like I was talking to somebody who appreciated the art on the same level. And we were talking the same language and we were similar people. And at that point, it bonded me to him in a way I hadn't been before. It became more personal. And that's why I'm willing to, when I see he calls it the Stone Quarry after my favorite book, I'm willing to tattoo it. Because that's what it's about to me. It's not about, don't get mad at me, it's not about the DCEU, it's not about Justice League, it's not about Superman, Batman. For me, it's about the art this man is making that nobody else is making.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what's good. I mean,
Snyder full timer right here.
Right there, that's a full timer, obviously.
Hold a part timer.
For a lot. For years before any of us even cared.
Snyder and I, like, we bonded and laughed over chins because I made a chin joke. Like, hey, when you casting Batman, were you just looking at chins? And he laughed pretty, and then all of a sudden he goes, you know what? It was kind of like that. We were looking at the chins. And I'm like, I knew it. You were looking for a good fucking chin.
Yeah.
Obviously, okay. Can I just stop you for a second? I'm sorry. There's a comment in the chat. You guys are really gay for Zach, huh? Why is it in our culture men can't express appreciation for other men without it turning into some sexualized thing?
Because it's 2020, Justin.
Seriously.
Just like Captain America and Bucky, they it can't be. It's just like that.
They gotta be gay.
They're gay. It's all about that. That's just where we are in this fucking society right now. Men can't be like yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know. It's whatever.
All right, it's something that really bugs me. It's like people do it to me with Tom Brady too. They're like, "Oh, you're gay for Tom Brady, huh? I bet you didn't let him have sex with you. You'd give Tom Brady a blowjob." No, I wouldn't fucking just because I think he's the greatest quarterback ever, and I love the way he's in my life doesn't mean I'm gay. Like, fuck off.
Have you seen Ted?
That's crazy. Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
Alejandro, thank you, but I'm straight edge. But we can hang out.
Okay, I think this is a good way to end the fucking stream. That'd be a perfect
You should just cut it after he said, "I'm not."
I know, just
Tom Brady
boom,
dick.
We're not going to be talking about that because I don't know about you. I'd let Tom Brady fuck. Anyway, anyways, guys, we're going to end it right there. I mean, this is 2 hours and 45 minutes, man. This is probably the longest stream. And I didn't have to work today. Thank God.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you guys.
3-day
And to Justin, to Chris, to Steven, of course, thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing this. And of course, Mr. Sean O'Connell, thank you for coming on, doing a one-on-one. Getting all that information out. I think a lot of people appreciated that, see where he's coming from. It was good talking to the guy. Hopefully he'll come on again, especially if when he starts really I think he said June or something he's going to turn in his first script or whatever the hell. It's going to be interesting to see what's in there. So
yeah.
Somebody said 214 minutes. How many minutes do we have left?
Oh no, that's
that's still
like another 48 minutes or something like that.
45 minutes. 45
I don't know
minutes.
if I could do another one of those, man. I'm good. I think you, Justin, you're like 3 hours ahead, man. You're creeping on what? 2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock, and I got to be at the gym at the gym for the wrestling tournament tomorrow at 8:30. So
not much time to sleep there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, appreciate everybody clicking in and everything. Happy 214.
Happy 214.
Yeah, who cares about that Valentine stuff? It's all about 214. All right, guys. Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Peace.